What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3 et. Chapter 61 Garp's sword points at the two emperors. Akainu Conqueror's confrontation. The world is changing so fast. Advertisement. The red hair was engulfed by Garp's knife light, and was cut off into the sea abruptly, which shocked everyone present. No one would have thought that Garp would suppress the red hair with a knife. Is this still the original Iron Fist, Garp? What the hell is going on with Monk's magical item? Let this Garp, who hasn't practiced swordsmanship much, suppress our captain. Usopp didn't know what to say for a while. If you really hold it, you will become the world's #1 swordsman, because it is shocking. The faces of the cadres of the red hair pirates were full of consternation. On the side of the Whitebeard pirates, everyone was also deeply shocked. On the Mobity, Marco couldn't believe it to the extreme, looked at his father, and said in a deep voice, "Dad, this." Whitebeard's eyes dimmed. "I didn't expect such a result." And just as Whitebeard was speaking, the waves broke out again on the surface of the sea that hadn't completely calmed down. This time, something rushed out from the bottom of the sea. He has red hair. At this time, the red hair was wet all over, the eyes under the drooping red hair were sharp to the point of ultimate, and at the same time, there was unwillingness. "I still don't believe it, my sword skills will lose to a knife." Garp uses the lightning pill, which is why he has such advanced saber techniques, so it is the saber in Garp's hand that red hair is losing to. This time the red hair not only used the knife, but also broke out his own Conqueror's Haki, the terrifying Conqueror's Haki wrapped around the knife, and the black thunder kept flashing. In the next second, a red-haired figure appeared in front of Garp, his eyes were red. "Hey," Garp sneered. "At first, our marine thought you had the devil fruit ability related to teleportation, but now it seems that your own speed is really fast, redhead." The lightning pill in Garp's hand turned black all over, and then it slashed towards the red hair, invincible slash. The top armament Haki and the top Conqueror's Haki collided together. At this moment, the entire sky split open, and the clouds kept churning. In the crowd, Monk couldn't help marveling at such a battle. This is splitting the sky. "I don't know when I can." The first 3 admirals are responsible for protecting Monk's safety, Kizaru said. "Yo," after hearing Monk's words, "if you want to split the sky, you must cultivate a path to ultimate." Among them, the Conqueror's Haki duel to split the sky is the easiest. "Monk, you haven't awakened Conqueror's Haki yet, and it may take a long time, unless your uncle gives you super holy water." In fact, Kizaru did not say one more thing. That is, in his heart, he felt that Monk would never have the chance to split the sky in this life, because Monk has basically never practiced. In his eyes, no. It should be said that in the eyes of all marine executives, the current Monk's combat power is probably not even a major. And Momoshiki, who was standing beside Monk, looked a little weird. Super holy water. Does this Monk need super holy water? Conqueror's Haki has already awakened, okay. And the strength is not enough, at least it can deter Vice Admiral for a second or two. This kid is pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger, very scheming. It seems that Monk is a scheming man. However, what Momoshiki didn't know was that after the first 2 days of traveling, Monk also got a lot of prostitution for nothing by fishing without Rear Admiral. Although there were not as many people from formal fishing, Monk's Conqueror's Haki was once again promoted. On the battlefield, Garp and Red Hair once again fought together after cutting the sky. The two sides competed in their own sword skills, and the Red Hair was always suppressed by Garp. "Ha ha ha ha, Redhead, your Conqueror's Haki is good, but it's far from Roger's. It is basically difficult for the Redhead to defeat Garp with Conqueror's Haki. Garp was a 50-50 man with Roger before, and he fought against the more powerful Conqueror's Haki. At the same time, Garp has recovered to the peak of his prime, and with the addition of the Dianguang pill, all the conditions add up, it is difficult for the Red Hair to defeat Garp. In the end, under the light of Garp's knife, a smear of bright red appeared on the Redhead's chest, and he was hurt. Garp fell back to the marine warship. At this time, his forehead was covered with sweat, and the consumption of the lightning pill was a bit too much even for him, a strong physicist, so he didn't continue to pursue it. Red Hair also fell back on his own pirate ship. "Boss. Captain." The members of the Red Hair pirates around hurriedly flocked over, looking at the captain who failed in the sparring. Everyone had complicated expressions. The Redhead ignored the surrounding members, but looked at Garp on the ship in the distance, and finally landed on the lightning pill. Advertisement. This time he was completely convinced. What Garp said was not wrong at all. Whoever gets this lightning pill can become a great swordsman, and his swordsmanship is at least at the forefront of the world. The Redhead is more interested in Monk and his fishing magic item. It's over, it's over. Marco can't speak very well. This is also normal, but in the end it really ended in the failure of the Red Hair, which no one expected. Garp didn't use body skills all the way, but used swordsmanship, and defeated Redhead. If you don't know, you really think Garp is a great swordsman. Looks like I'll have to revisit Monk's magic item. Whitebeard opened his mouth slightly. At first he didn't take Monk's magical item seriously, but after a series of shocks, the 3 views were refreshed. Whitebeard realized that he had to face up to Monk's magical item. Marco nodded heavily. That's right. Especially the magical item that restores Garp's youth. "Father, if you can get that magical item, you can go back to the time when you were sailing the sea," Marco said with excitement on his face. "Ooh." Whitebeard threw his head back and laughed. "Marco, what you said is wrong. Now Dad and I are still galloping on this sea." Whitebeard is proud. Although he said this to Marco, Whitebeard still felt throbbing in his heart. Who wouldn't yearn to go back to the past? Back to the high-spirited era. And at this moment, Garp, who had won the duel, jumped out again, using his step to stop in midair. Lightning pill in hand pointed at Redhead and Whitebeard. The sword pointed at the two emperors, like a king who looked down on the sea and said, "Okay. You guys should get out of here. Otherwise, don't blame me for being serious." Garp's behavior has undoubtedly boosted Marine's morale. At the same time, after these few days, Marine soldiers also know that Marine's recent changes are all due to Monk. The soldiers shouted like a wave. The waves of Marine soldiers shouted, "It's so handsome." The sword points to the double emperors. This is estimated to be recorded in history. As expected of our Marine hero Garp. But although it is said that the hero Vice Admiral Garp is great, it's all because of Monk, Sengoku's nephew. Yeah, it's Monk's credit. If it weren't for Monk, how could Vice Admiral Garp regain his youth, and how could he have such advanced sword skills? Those wines that can help us cultivate, as well as Wazi smoke, and memory bread, these are all thanks to Mengshu. Also, those injured veterans were originally disabled and could only provide for the elderly, but after having Monk's fairy beans, many of them have recovered and can continue to join the army. Yes, the Marshal's nephew's ability is really amazing. Brought too much good news to our Marine. In the future, our Marine will be able to rely on Monk to quell the Age of Discovery. Ha 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 ha, that's right, I'm looking forward to the days of peace. In midair, Garp was elated when he heard the praise from the soldiers, but soon the voice changed to praise and love for Monk. How do you feel that the influence of the boy Monk is getting higher and higher in Marine? This kid hasn't officially joined the Marine yet. Because Monk was going to participate in recruit training before, but after fishing for a magical item, Marine saw the great value, so he gave up later. But it's normal to think about it. Monk's magical items are too powerful. It is not only a gospel for the strong but also a gospel for the soldiers. It will naturally increase the influence in the army. Maybe he can surpass his uncle, Marshal Marine. Thinking of this, Garp was in a good mood immediately, and he was a little bit looking forward to what kind of reaction Sengoku would have after Monk's influence surpassed Sengoku, the Marshal. It must be very exciting. Gathering his thoughts, Garp looked at the Xuanguang in the distance again. Whitebeard and Redhead didn't intend to leave, and even the two emperors began to meet. Advertisement. This made Garp feel a little throbbing. These two guys are going to join forces. On the warship, Sengoku also saw that Whitebeard and the red-haired two royal groups meant to join forces, and couldn't help frowning. Once the two kings join forces, there is no need to fish today, and Marine will bring great losses, which is not in line with Sengoku's expectations. So it is best to be able to resolve this incident without fighting. And if you want to solve this incident without fighting, there is only one way, and that is to use some consumable magical items to calm things down just like you did when you dealt with the ant. Although it is said that doing so will lose some things and benefit the double emperor, it is far less than the loss caused by war. Moreover, as long as they can fish smoothly, Marine can gain more benefits. So the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Sengoku naturally made such a choice. Sengoku looked at Aokiji, who was in charge of protecting Monk in Anglia Island, and didn't say anything. Aokiji immediately understood, and immediately stepped forward to use the ice fruit to freeze the road on the sea. The icy road leads to the Whitebeard pirates and the Red Hair pirates. I have to say that Bingbing is really easy to use in this world full of seas. In Monk's previous life, the favorite thing to watch pirates was Bingbing fruit, which thieves can pretend. Take the fact that riding a bicycle on the sea is a god in Monk's heart, it's not too handsome. I don't know if I can catch the Bingbing fruit, and after the Bingbing fruit is developed to ultimate, can it be awakened? What is awakening? To the kingdom. Monk had a little hope in his heart that he could get the Bingbing fruit ability. While Monk was thinking about this, Sengoku and Akainu stepped onto the ice made by Aokiji, and the two walked in front of Whitebeard, the Redhead and others. Immediately, the members of the two royal regiments were about to fire and blast the two high-level Marines, but they were stopped by Whitebeard and Redhead. Since Marshal Marine and the two admirals are here, they are here to negotiate, not to fight. As a royal group, they also have their own pride, and they will not engage in sneak attacks casually. Whitebeard and Redhead jumped off the ice, while second in command Ben Beckman and Marco. People also followed behind their own captain. Marine and Xuanguang face each other like this. Whitebeard spoke first. Sengoku, it's been more than 10 years, haven't we met face to face? Hee hee. Whitebeard, you are really old, you are not as overbearing as before. Sengoku sneered. Today's Whitebeard is full of catheters, without the deterrence of the past. Sengoku, I don't want to hear your words. Raihuzi's tone became low. Old or not, don't you know if you try. The terrifying Conqueror's Haki erupted from Whitebeard's body, and the Haki mat rolled towards Sengoku and Akainu. Marco raised his eyebrows, but he didn't say anything. Dad was giving Marine a bad blow. Let Marine understand that even though Whitebeard has a disease, he is still the strongest man. To everyone's surprise, it was not Sengoku who used Conqueror's Haki to confront Whitebeard, but Kaz. Akainu's domineering eyes burst into red, he stepped forward, and Conqueror's Haki burst out from his body. Boom. The Conqueror's Haki belonging to Marine Admiral and the Conqueror's Haki of the Emperor of the Sea clashed together. The two waves of Haki blasted the ice between the two sides, and the sea water continued to flow. Surge. Whitebeard's eyes shrank sharply. Akainu has awakened Conquerors. Admiral actually broke the curse and awakened the Conqueror's Haki in the present age. Marco's face was also full of shock. Akainu awakening Conqueror's Haki no one expected. The red hair on the side frowned and said, could it be also a monk's magical item? Hee. Akainu smiled lowly. You guessed right, Shanks. I awakened Conqueror's Haki all thanks to Monk. Today's Akainu is now a supporter of Monk after getting a lot of magical items from Monk. Helping Monk raise his prestige, he is naturally willing. The Whitebeard pirates and the red hair pirates immediately went into an uproar. Conqueror's Haki can still be awakened with external things. What else is there that Monk's magic item can't do? In other words, wouldn't it be easy for Marine to awaken Conqueror's Haki now? No, impossible. How can this kind of ability that only people with the King's qualification possess can be awakened with things? Advertisement. Chapter 62 Witness History. Shock Fruit vs. Boom. The red-haired broken arm recovered. Advertisement. In the concept of people in this world, Conqueror's Haki can only be awakened by those who have the qualification of King, and it is impossible for ordinary people to awaken. Therefore, Conqueror's Haki is very sacred and is the basic means to distinguish the strong from the weak. In this way, there will be only one Haki among a million people, who can be awakened with items, and many people cannot accept it. So for a while, members of the Whitebeard Pirates and the Red Hair Pirates felt that Akainu had awakened on his own, and then told them that it was Monk's magical item, trying to frighten them. After all, Conqueror's Haki is a means to improve people's level. The strong may not have Conqueror's Haki, but those who have Conqueror's Haki must be strong. This is an indisputable fact. Once Conqueror's Haki becomes popular, soldiers with Conqueror's Haki must be stronger than pirates without Conqueror's Haki. Akainu battled Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki, and it didn't make a difference. Although Akainu's Conqueror's Haki has only been awakened for a few days, but Whitebeard's own physical reasons prevent him from using the full Conqueror's Haki, so he finally gave up. Ha ha ha, you're really old, Whitebeard. Sengoku didn't argue that Akainu's Conqueror's Haki was because of Monk's magical item. Anyway, if they believe it, they believe it, if they don't believe it, they don't believe it, and that's it. Akainu's Conqueror's Haki has only been awakened for a few days, but it is tied with you. Sengoku continued to suppress Whitebeard. This will facilitate future negotiations. Marco suddenly became unhappy. Sengoku, you are not allowed to say that about my father. If we continue, our Whitebeard pirates won't be afraid of anyone. At this time, the red hair spoke up, stood up and said, Sengoku, there is no need to say more nonsense. Although you are called the resourceful general, we are not stupid. We don't need to attack us with nonsense. We don't eat that. Let's talk about the purpose of your meeting at this time, that's the point. Hee. I'm not talking nonsense, but the truth, redhead. Sengoku shrugged. Forget it. Then get down to business. Presumably you also know the consequences if we go to war here. If we go to war with all our strength, we will only be accepted by the other two Sea Emperors or other forces in New World. So, I hope you can leave here, and our marine will leave here soon, and it won't do anything to your territory. Ah, the redhead laughed, and 690 shook his head while laughing. Sengoku, you are too insincere, aren't you? Or do you really think we're fools? Do you think we'd like to? Whitebeard also smiled. Before you marine were fishing on Cake Island, but you gave the Big Mom pirates a lot of good things. Now you are fishing in our Shuangwang's territory, plan to use your mouth to make us leave. Whitebeard's eyes became sharp. What do you think we are, Sengoku? Sengoku was not intimidated by Whitebeard. You can also ask for magical items, and our marine will give you some, just as a reward for sending you away. At this time, Marco stood up. Garp, we don't need other magical items, you marines just need to give us the items that restore the age of the Whitebeard pirates. That's right, we Whitebeard pirates don't need anything else, just a magical item that can restore youth. Everyone in the Whitebeard pirates continued to echo. For people like them, being able to restore their father's youth is the greatest benefit. The Whitebeard pirates will be back on top. Impossible. Sengoku directly refused. Leaving aside the source of age, Marine doesn't have it at all. After all, it is used up after getting it. Even if it is, Sengoku will not agree. Whitebeard's rejuvenation will bring huge troubles to Marine. Besides, rope from the source of age Marine is not enough on his own. Then there's nothing to say. Marco said, we, the Whitebeard pirates, must get the magic item that can restore our father's youth and get rid of his disease. Sengoku couldn't help frowning, looking at Marco. Akainu on the side was also full of dissatisfaction, he couldn't bear his temper. Sengoku was talking to Whitebeard and the redhead, not to Marco. How can an imperial deputy have the right to speak all the time? He directly raised his hand and hit. Great eruption. Marco, what qualifications do you have to speak? Advertisement. The great eruption swept towards Marco with a scorching heat. Marco didn't move. Whitebeard moved first. CJ, I'm Whitebeard, you dare to be presumptuous. The big knife in Whitebeard's hand directly cut off the great eruption, and he punched out with a backhand, shock fist. A circle of light belonging to shock fruit appeared, cracks began to appear in the void, and the ability of shock fruit was activated. Whitebeard was very dissatisfied with Akainu's shot, and also responded to Akainu. On the opposite side, Sengoku clenched his fists, and this time he was going to make a move. Just use his fist to completely shock the audience, the same shock fruit's halo appeared. Seeing this familiar circle of light, Whitebeard's eyes widened, and Marco, Joe's, and all the members of the Whitebeard pirates exclaimed. Two devil fruits really, our daddy's shock fruit. Before the Whitebeard pirates heard the information, they thought it was Vegapunk who made the technology, that is, the ability of fake an inferior shock fruit. But looking at it now, where is this fake? Exactly the same as Whitebeard's shock fruit. At this moment, everyone present witnessed a history. Two different people used the same devil fruit ability. For more than 800 years, no one in this world has seen such a scene. Sengoku and Whitebeard's shock fruit abilities confronted each other, once again bursting out with terrifying power. The two sides continued to tear each other apart, and cracks appeared in the void, densely packed to the extreme. In the end, the two forces finally dissipated in the mutual collapse. The waves fell, but the inner waves of the Whitebeard pirates and the Red Hair pirates could not be calmed down for a long time. They have witnessed history, not only witnessed the birth of double devil fruit ability, but also saw two people using one fruit. Sengoku, your nephew is really amazing. Whitebeard's tone was faint. The corners of Sengoku's mouth are drawn. Thank you for the compliment to my nephew by Beard. So can we get down to business now? After seeing my current strength, you don't want to fight our marine, do you? Sengoku had achieved his goal, and now Garp showed himself back to the top, the swordsmanship boost that Lightning Pill brought to the strong, and Akainu's Conqueror's Haki and finally his own dual devil fruit energy calendar. Whitebeard and the Redhead's attempts to snatch the monk and the magical item were dispelled a lot. Although the Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair pirates said they had learned about Sengoku's ability to double devil fruit in the news, they were still shocked after seeing it with their own eyes. So that facing Sengoku's greeting, Whitebeard and Redhead did not answer for a while. When Sengoku asked again, the Red Hair, Whitebeard and others came back to their senses. After the final negotiation, Whitebeard, Redhead and Sengoku reached an agreement, that is to get some magical items, and then do not hinder Marine and Monk from fishing. The Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair pirates have two requirements. The first is to be able to watch from a distance, and the second is to be stronger than Big Mom's magical items. At first, Sengoku refused, but in the end, in order not to waste time and to complete the transaction as soon as possible, he still chose to agree, but the condition was that only half of Big Mom would be there, that is to say, Big Mom was 4 magical items, and Whitebeard and the two Redheads can only do 2 things each. But then, Redhead and Whitebeard refused. After all, they are the twin emperors, so wouldn't it be very embarrassing? After nearly an hour of negotiation, each person has 3 magical items for intermediate fishing. They are intermediate level fairy beans, intermediate level universal capsules, and intermediate level stamina pills. The number of each magical item is the same as 2. Of course, Whitebeard and the Redhead will not believe Sengoku's one-sided statement, and they are willing to believe it only after comparing it. At the same time, let Sengoku introduce the names and functions of these magical items. Sengoku cursed secretly in his heart. Originally he really planned to fool Whitebeard and the Redhead with elementary level, anyway they didn't know the difference between elementary and intermediate level, but the other party was so cautious. He had no choice but to give up this idea and give Huang Tuan real intermediate fishing items. Now that the negotiations between the two parties have been settled, don't spoil the next fishing because of this small benefit, it will not be worth the candle. Sengoku handed open black lens bracket intermediate Sengoku close black lens bracket to Whitebeard and Redbeard, 2 for each. Marine actually didn't have so many stocks. After all, the number of fishing was limited. In the first 2 days of travel, generals such as Momosuke and T-Dolphin fished a lot of conventional items, so they survived. Sengoku will be collected from them, and then they will be given a higher value. People like Momosuke are also willing. After all, they get more money, and they can wait until they go on a trip with Monk, and then let Monk go fishing. Speaking of which, Marine's funding has been a little tight recently. Advertisement. You need to find a time to apply with the world government. Although Marine still has a lot of funds, they can't use too much for fishing. Otherwise, if the funds cannot be used, Marine will go bankrupt. There are millions of soldiers in seas all over the world to support. Not thinking about it, Sengoku asked Shikai to answer Whitebeard and the Redhead's doubts. This one is called the middle-level fairy bean, and it can heal all injuries. Before Sengoku could finish speaking, Ben Beckman interrupted. This is the magical item that restores Zephyr's broken arm. Marco also stood up and said excitedly, can all injuries be healed? Old illnesses too. The eyes of Ben Beckman and Marco flickered, expecting Sengoku's answer. Sengoku wants to answer no, but Sengoku is indeed heaven-defying, there is no way to do it, it can only be said that it is not easy to have none of Monk's magical items. No, as long as it is a physical injury, such as a broken arm, it can be healed. As soon as this remark came out, everyone in the Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair pirates were in ecstasy. Great Dad, your body can recover. Marco almost burst into tears. Whitebeard was too important to him. Joes and all these people got off the boat one after another, happy for Whitebeard. Although it is said that the violence of youth has not been restored, Whitebeard is still old, but this can prevent Whitebeard from being tortured by disease, which is already very good. Red-haired Whitebeard, Ben Beckman and others are also happy for their boss. Boss, your broken arm will be restored. Ha ha ha, I'm afraid. Now I'm competing with Garp, so I won't lose. The redhead sneered and shook his head helplessly. Garp's strength lies in his sword skills and his armament Haki. One arm doesn't have much influence on the battle situation. This is undoubtedly the highest evaluation of Dianguang's knife. The redhead was not in a hurry to take it, and asked, then what is the difference between our fairy beans and ants' fairy beans? It is necessary to confirm whether their celestial beans are really of a higher level than the ants. Intermediate immortal beings have one more effect than elementary ones, that is, to revive the dead, of course, those who died within a few minutes. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the audience changed drastically. Even the redhead and Whitebeard were taken aback. Resurrection of the dead. Can you actually resurrect the dead? On the boat behind, the members of the Whitebeard pirates and the red hair pirates all exclaimed one after another. Whitebeard's eyes twitched violently. Sengoku, did you save the world in your last life? Why do you have such a grandson? Sengoku corrected. It's a nephew. At this time, Garp didn't know when he came to him. He laughed and said, Monk is my grandson. Get out. The quarrel between Sengoku and Garp did not break the shock of Whitebeard and the redhead. The two looked at each other, and both saw the horror in each other's eyes. Ginger, I'm kind of regretting making a deal with Sengoku. The redhead nodded silently. Me too. Such a heaven-defying magical item, who would not be jealous after seeing it? However, Red Hair and Whitebeard said that Marine now has Monk's magical item. Even if they teamed up with the two kings, the final victory is probably a disastrous one. Cannot loot Monks, our magical items. The two stopped talking nonsense and took the fairy beans. Everyone present had piercing eyes, watching what happened in front of them. On the red-haired severed arm, the wound began to squirm, and flesh and blood continued to grow and produce. Finally, the severed hand recovered. The red hair looked at her severed hand, and was stunned on the spot. It really grew again. Advertisement. Chapter 63 Monk will raise the level of the future world. For Monk, dare to start the royal battle. Advertisement. Redhead stared at his regrowth arm in a daze. When his arm was bitten off by Sea Kings to save Luffy, his heart didn't fluctuate at all. Even if it hurt, Redhead didn't say a word. But now after seeing his severed arm recovered, the red-haired heart set off waves of shock. Never in his life did he imagine that one day his arms would grow back. The turmoil in his heart gradually turned into ecstasy. Although it was nothing to the red hair to lose his arm, he never felt it was worthless. But being able to restore the arm is undoubtedly a good thing for the redhead. 2 arms are better than 1. Ben Beckman, Lackey Lu, Usopp and others are also delighted that the redhead's arms have grown back. At the same time, the magical items of Monk have once again been raised to a higher level. With Monk, Marine's comprehensive strength has been raised to a whole new level. If we can mass-produce fairy beans, do we still need a ship's doctor? One celestial bean can cure it, which is better than the ship's doctor. Marco felt internalized. However, what the red hair pirates thought had nothing to do with their Whitebeard pirates, so they didn't say anything. The redhead nodded. That's right. He whispered. The marine with the magical item can be compared with the previous marine. Once the number of marine beans reaches a certain level, all marine soldiers will be fearless. Monk brings a new era, and this era will refresh the new ceiling. The upper limit of red hair refers to the upper limit of strength, and the world will usher in a brand new high level at the limit of force. If we red hair pirates don't want to be eliminated in this era, then we must get Monk's magic item. Ben Beckman nodded, and said in a low voice, there is nothing wrong with saying that, but we understand this, and Marine naturally understands this. Monk is now the treasure of Marine, it is difficult for us to make a fuss on Monk. The redhead was silent. Sleepy Beckman was right. The value of the current Monk has reached such a level that Marine will start a war regardless of the consequences. Any force, even the alliance of 4 Sea Emperors, as long as Monk is taken away, Marine will fight. Monk already has the value to decide whether a big war happens or not. The redhead breathed out slowly. I can only think of another way. At this time, Ben Beckman sneered, and whispered in the red-haired ear. Listening to Ben Beckman's words, the red-haired pupils began to flicker. At the same time, on the other side, Whitebeard has also taken the middle-level Shondo. Originally, he was unwilling to take it, and planned to save it for other people to use it when they needed it urgently, but was forced by Marco and others to take it. Immediately, Whitebeard felt a burst of relief in his body, and all his old diseases were cured, which made him immediately tear off the infusion tube on his body. His face was radiant, as if he had ushered in the second spring. He laughed and said, it's comfortable, it's so comfortable. Whitebeard's original Haki was restrained at this moment, but now Haki is exposed together. Although it is said that the old disease did not affect his overall combat power too much, but without the disease, Whitebeard's combat power is naturally even more terrifying. Take Conqueror's Haki as an example. Before he couldn't use Conqueror's Haki at will, but now Whitebeard can use it if he wants to. Seeing that their father no longer needs to rely on the infusion tube, everyone in the Whitebeard pirates cheered. Marco, Joes, and other captains gathered around Rybert to congratulate Whitebeard. After Whitebeard was overjoyed, he felt melancholy. It's a pity, it would have been nice to have this fairy bean when Thatch was killed. However, Whitebeard was only talking about the fact that Sachi was murdered, and it was not discovered until the next day. Intermediate hyphenation point Sen bean will only be effective if taken within a few minutes of death, so at that time, it will not return to Saki. Teach that B**************, D, now that my disease is gone, I'm announcing his death. Whitebeard said, looked at Marco, and asked, is there any news about Little Ace recently? No. Marco shook his head. Now he has chased the Grand Line, and there is no news back. At this point, Sengoku interjected. Whitebeard, I know you want to avenge your crew, but we Marine won't let you leave New World. What else would the world think of us Marine? Whitebeard sneered. Sengoku, I don't need me, Ace can get that Teach guy back. Advertisement. After finishing speaking, he said coldly. Okay, Sengoku, what about the next magical item? Sengoku felt dissatisfied, but thought of fishing quickly, so he stopped talking nonsense and took out the next intermediate level stamina pill. This is a stamina pill, which can increase the upper limit of stamina taken out of thin air. Hearing Sengoku's introduction, both Whitebeard and the redhead were shocked. There are also drugs that can improve physical strength. Laji Ludu exclaimed. His strength is not weak, and he can rank among the top in this sea, but his physical strength is not enough, because his body is too fat. But now that he has this thing, he can improve his physical strength without exercising, which is good news for Laji Lu. Boss, can you try this thing for me? The redhead would naturally not refuse, of course. Laji Lu was overjoyed and quickly took the 2 stamina pills from Sengoku's hand, one for the red hair and one for his own mouth. Immediately, Laji Lu exclaimed again and again, it's so hot, so hot. But it's so comfortable, I feel like my whole body is moving crazily. Laji Lu's description made Sengoku and Akainu speechless for a while, is that right? In the end, under the witness of everyone, Laji Lu seemed to be a different person. His original fat body disappeared and he became strong. He turned out to be like an athlete. Everyone in Red Hair Pirates was dumbfounded by this scene. How long ago have you seen Laji Lu like this? The redhead couldn't help asking. How do you feel? Laji Lu was very excited. I feel that I have improved at least 3 years of penance. This sentence shocked everyone in the Red Hair Pirates. Improved so much. After more than 3 years of penance, how many years does a person have in his life? In the prime of life even less. Physical strength pill is undoubtedly an artifact to quickly increase combat effectiveness. For the Whitebeard Pirates, after seeing Laji Lu's promotion, they couldn't wait to try it. This time Whitebeard didn't eat anything, and gave Marco the middle-level stamina Dan. Marco also has a short board of physical strength, which can just make up for it. Marco was not hypocritical, and quickly took the physical strength pill. In the end, with the blessing of the stamina pill, Marco's upper limit of stamina was increased by more than 3 years of penance, similar to that of Laji Lu. For the improvement of his physical strength, Marco felt extremely joyful. Whitebeard handed the rest of the stamina pill to Marco and said, send a trustworthy person to Ace, and the rest of the immortal beans, you can be sure if you are alone. Marco nodded, agreeing. Dad is undoubtedly very kind to Ace, which is also normal. Whitebeard wants to promote Ace to be the next generation of One Piece. This is something that Marco and Joes have in their hearts. Only Ace wants to help Whitebeard become the next generation of One Piece. Little do they know that Whitebeard's ambition is not here, otherwise, it would be even more difficult for Roger to become the One Piece. Still need to get over the Whitebeard hurdle. Next is the last magical item, the intermediate level universal capsule. Sengoku gave 2 universal capsules to Whitebeard and the redhead respectively, and said, this is a mid-level universal capsule. You have all seen its effect just now. It can store things. For example, our marine warships are stored with this thing. Whitebeard and the red-haired raised their eyebrows, because the distance was too far just now, so they said they didn't see clearly how Marine got the marine warships out. It's unbelievable, it turned out to be such a small thing. Usopp took the universal capsule from his captain, and murmured while looking at the universal capsule. Indeed, this gadget is only the size of a palm, but it can accommodate a marine warship. I dare not even think about it. Really, Sengoku, you're not fooling us, are you? Everyone kept marveling, expressing their disbelief towards this little thing, and at the same time, they still had doubts. Sengoku couldn't help but sneered, and said lightly, wouldn't you know if it's true or not if you try it? After a pause, he continued to add, also, I want to tell you that loading a marine warship is a primary level, and the intermediate level universal capsule can load the next Mobity. Everyone looked at Sengoku in shock again. Ask for flowers. Put on the Mobity. Advertisement. The Mobity is the pirate ship of the Whitebeard Pirate Group, because the Whitebeard Pirate Group does not go to the island as often as other pirate groups, and basically stays on the pirate ship, so it is more expensive than ordinary pirates. The ship is at least 4 or 5 times larger, and such a huge Mobity can be loaded into this small capsule. Everyone couldn't believe what they said, even if they had just seen the appearance of the marine warship. It's so bizarre. Sengoku didn't bother to talk nonsense to them. Try it yourself and you will know. Okay, our deal has been reached. I hope you will stay here from now on and don't move forward. Otherwise, our marine will definitely leave the people. Sengoku's tone and expression became extremely serious. For the safety of my nephew, I will not hesitate to start the imperial battle. That's right, Akainu said, dramatically, and also expressed his attitude. Hey, I also wish for it. I was able to win in the Valley of the Gods back then, and today I, Garp, can also win. Garp rubbed his nose and said. The words of Marine's senior executives at the scene are undoubtedly pronouncing Monk's current status in Marine. As Redhead and Whitebeard guessed, Marine is willing to start a direct fight for Monk. This is the determination of Marine's top management. The Redhead and Whitebeard were silent and said nothing. Marine sighed. No more talking, turned around and walked towards Angle Island. It's time to go fishing, enough time has been wasted, and everyone can't wait to see what the magical item will be this time. 0. I hope there will be more Shondo and stamina pills. Sengoku murmured in his heart. These consumable magical items, after quelling the troubles of the 4 emperors twice, Marine has no stock at all. It must be added. However, even if these consumable magical items are obtained by fishing, it is still difficult to distribute them. There are too many marines. You have to think of a way. Relying on Monk to fish all the time, it's unrealistic, after all. Monk is not a robot, and he will be tired if he uses the devil fruit ability frequently. Sengoku didn't say anything, but he still feels sorry for his nephew. While walking, Sengoku thought about how to realize the mass production of magical items. Soon a person appeared in his mind, and that was Vegapunk. Can try. And when Sengoku and others walked halfway, the exclamations of members of the Whitebeard Pirates and Red Hair Pirates sounded behind them. Really refresh my 3 views, Mobity really disappeared. Idiot, this is not disappearing, it is stored in the universal capsule. It's unbelievable that this capsule can be easily picked up with such a big thing in it. Or what if we put ammunition in it? For example, if you put a bomb and flame in it, and then use the universal capsule as a bomb to detonate, the equivalent can make dozens of kilometers disappear. Sengoku and the others couldn't help but pause. Garp turned his head to look at the pirate behind him, and couldn't help but sigh. As expected of a pirate, the idea is really crazy. Such an equivalent bomb explosion may be able to flatten half of the country. Why didn't they think of marine? Fortunately, this thing is scarce, and for the pirates, they are not willing to do this. Soon Sengoku and others returned to the Angle Islands. Sengoku didn't say much, and said to Monk, "Okay, Monk, let's start." Monk nodded, but Momosuke on the side was a little worried. "Marshal, is it really good for the Xuanguang to be on the side?" Sengoku was helpless. "No way, they won't leave, and I don't want a big fight, so we have to take a step back." "It's okay, open a random door on Monk's side, as long as the Xuanguang dares to make a move, you will take Monk away as soon as possible, and we will let the Xuanguang know our marine's anger." Momosuke didn't speak anymore after hearing the words, so that's all he can do now. Sengoku handed the universal capsule to Monk and said, "It contains 1 billion Baileys." After a pause, Sengoku said, "By the way, has your devil fruit proficiency improved?" Monk shook his head. He understood what Sengoku meant, and wanted to see if there was any more advanced fishing. Well, according to the original plan, 600 million Baileys will fish 3 times for advanced fishing, 300 million Baileys will fish 15 times for intermediate fishing, and the remaining 100 million Baileys will fish 50 times for elementary fishing. 50 times. Monk looked at Sengoku in astonishment. F. Advertisement. Chapter 64 New Props. Time Machine. Shocked the audience, Monk is a monster. Advertisement. To be honest, Monk was a little taken aback after hearing about 50 beginner fishing trips. But soon he thought of one thing, that is, he can fish 5 times each time he fishes now, and he only needs to fish 10 times for 50 times of fishing. But soon, he thought of another point, that is, if he wanted to prostitute for free, that would be 100 times, a total of 20 times of fishing. This Monk couldn't bear it anymore. As a bad player, Monk finally decided to use the 5000 W shellfish for nothing for intermediate fishing. In this way, he only needs to fish 6 high-level, 35 intermediate, and 50 primary fishing. And what he gave to Marine were 3 high-level Myriad Realms props, 15 mid-level Myriad Realms props, and 50 Fangji props. Monk's mood became happy again, so the number of fishing times was not much at all, and the total was only 16 times. Because advanced fishing is more promising, it is said that every time Monk advanced fishing fishes, he only wants to fish 2 Myriad Realms props. Then pick one of them for yourself. And when Monk was thinking about this, Sengoku's voice interrupted Monk's thoughts, pulled him to reality, and said in a deep voice, "Monk, thank you for your hard work." The surrounding admirals, Garp, he, Fa and others also expressed their hard work to Monk. Monk chuckled, waved his hands and said, "It's okay, it's nothing if first pay for Marine to become stronger." Sengoku couldn't help but cast approving glances. "Monk, you really make Uncle so proud of you." Garp looked distressed. "Oh, it would be great if my grandson and son could be like you." 277. Monk was too embarrassed to continue talking, and said to himself, "If you knew that I swallowed 500 million berries this time, would you still say that?" Licking his lips, Monk started fishing this time. When Sengoku was negotiating with Whitebeard and Redhead, he had already made preparations for fishing. This time, the chair was more comfortable. At first glance, it seemed that he was not here for fishing, but for vacation. Looking at Monk, who was lying on the beach chair, drinking a drink while fishing, the corners of Sengoku's mouth twitched violently. This kid, thanks to myself for praising him just now, I can't wait to slap him in the face now. Is fishing not serious fishing? So flamboyant, damn. The admirals all around looked at each other, but didn't say anything. But in Kizaru's heart, he was astounded by Monk, and at the same time he was envious. He didn't need to pretend to be a fisherman, and he was above board. Sengoku and others couldn't say anything. Monk's life, own dream. Kizaru sighed in his heart. Monk ignored the thoughts of the people around him at all, and started fishing after getting 2 high-grade baits. It will take a little longer for advanced fishing, and I don't know if the next system upgrade can speed up the speed. After waiting for nearly 10 minutes, the Myriad Realms item will be fished. When the fishing rod was moving, the voice of the system in my mind also sounded at the same time. It's a pity that the Air Force received a consolation reward super exclusive Wazian. It's a pity that the Air Force received a consolation reward super exclusive Motai close black lens bracket. Monk couldn't help but widen his eyes and open his mouth in shock. I rub it. Twice all. Air Force. This is the first time Monk has encountered it, and the luck at the beginning is a bit bad. Monk was speechless, thought for a while, and gave open black lens bracket super honor Wazi close black lens bracket to his uncle. Advanced Motai, that is, super exclusive Motai, he wants to keep a piece for himself to quickly upgrade Conqueror's Haki. Of course, if there are items that the two monks both want, he can also use this advanced Motai instead. Give Sengoku the high-level Hanako. They don't know that this is a consolation reward from the Air Force. In their view, this super exclusive Hanako is a magic item to improve the development level of Devil Fruit and sword skills. Also satisfied. Haha, Sengoku has this, you can master the Shock Fruit ability more quickly. Crane was happy for Sengoku. Sengoku couldn't help but nodded, indeed. It is helpful to improve the ability of Marine's General Devil Fruit. Sengoku put away the high-level Wazian. In the distance, the redhead couldn't help asking Usopp curiously, how is it? Did Monk catch anything? Usopp looked at the binoculars and nodded. I caught something, but I can't see what it is. Sengoku and the others didn't show much, just kicked in their pockets. It is different from the time on Cake Island, because Marine was on Cake Island at that time, so the distance between Big Mom Pirates and Vince Mokay's family is actually very close. Look through binoculars. Advertisement. Fortunately, as the two top royal groups, each of them has their own special abilities. That is a pack of smoke called Wazi, which can increase the speed of practicing Devil Fruit, swordsmanship and other skills. Everyone in the Double Emperor group couldn't help being surprised. Smoke can still have this effect. This is undoubtedly the gospel of smokers, many people who are pirates are smokers. On Monk's side, he has already started fishing for the second time, still with 2 high-grade baits. This time the fishing was faster than the first time, and the magical item was caught in less than 10 minutes. In my mind, the voice of the system said, congratulations to host for obtaining 30 universal experience points. Congratulations to host for obtaining Time Machine is being improved. Time Machine. After hearing the name, Monk couldn't help being startled. Of course, he is no stranger to time machines, but what he cares about is the time machine in 7 Dragon Ball, or the time machine in Doraemon. The two are very different. The time machine in the 7th Dragon Ball travels to the previous time and space. After changing the reality, it cannot affect the future that has already happened. In other words, it has become 2 parallel time and space, and Doraemon's time machine is a parallel time and space, which will produce a butterfly effect. But this still depends on the introduction after the final system improvement, maybe it is different from both. To be honest, it is still unbelievable that fishing will catch a heaven-defying technology like Time Machine Monk. If this thing can have a butterfly effect on the present, then the world will be greatly changed. With incomparable curiosity, Monk waited for the improvement of the system to open black lens bracket Time Machine close black lens bracket. Soon, the voice of the system in my mind sounded again. Open black lens bracket Time Machine close black lens bracket improvement completed. Monk couldn't wait to look at the system. Monk looked at the system and saw the introduction of open black lens bracket Time Machine close black lens bracket. This advanced fishing time machine can only go back to any past within 20 years, and cannot reach the future. This makes Monk feel a bit inferior, but when he thinks that this is a magical item obtained from high-level fishing, he feels normal, and even more advanced ones may appear in the future. In addition, this time machine has another limitation, that is, it cannot change the huge things that happened in the original timeline of the world. This is quite easy to understand, it is like the changes in the Age of Great Voyages, and the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. No, the Valley of the Gods seems to be 38 years ago, and it can't even be reached. In short, this time machine cannot change the important process of this world after going back. There are quite a lot of advanced fishing restrictions, and I don't know if the time machine can be changed in the future, that is to say, this time machine can only be used to change some small things, some small people. Thinking of this, Monk immediately decided to take out the time machine. Monk came from time travel, and there is nothing that needs to be changed, so the value of this time machine to him is not as great as a bottle of high-end Motai. Next to him, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, and 3 admirals have already approached and asked Monk how his fishing was going. Monk is no nonsense, it is taken out from the system Vice Admiral open black lens bracket time machine close black lens bracket. The appearance of this time machine is the time machine in the 7 Dragon Balls. Perhaps because of the improvements made to adapt to this world, this time machine is even bigger, even people with huge bodies like Kaido and Whitebeard can sit in it. It was the first time for everyone in Marine to see Monk take out such a huge machine, and they were stunned when they saw the time machine. All the stunned expressions were filled with anticipation. Yo, what kind of prop is this? Kizaru exclaimed. He straightened his toed glasses and said, it's the first time I can see the tallness from Monk's magical items at a glance. Ha 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 ha, I wanted to say that just now. Garp also laughed out loud and echoed. Monk was speechless at once. What does it mean to look very tall at first glance? Which one of his magical items is not tall? Even the primary consolation rewards are the world's best wine and the world's best smoke, okay. But after thinking about it, Monk suddenly felt that there was nothing wrong with him. Take Shondo as an example. It looks like an ordinary bean at the beginning. If it weren't for the introduction of the system, how could it be possible to believe that this bean is a miracle medicine, and even intermediate level Shondo can also be used as a resurrection coin? And that flamboyant pink random door. Thinking of this, Monk felt relieved. At present, it seems that this time machine is the tallest and most high-end at first glance, and it is not easy. Sengoku didn't join in the joke, he went straight to the point and asked Monk what this magical item is and what it does. Redhead, the Whitebeard pirates are here. Advertisement. At this moment, everyone saw the time machine. After all, it was too big and very conspicuous. What's that? Usopp couldn't help being very curious. I don't know, it looks like a diving device, said Ben Beckman. That's right, it looks a bit like a submarine. Everyone was discussing, guessing what this magical item Monk took out. Both Redhead and Whitebeard were curious too, but didn't show it. After a while, Whitebeard said quietly, "Red-haired kid, what do you think this is?" Hee hee. The redhead smiled wryly and shook his head. Who knows, but I don't think it's just a scuba gear. Whitebeard showed noncommittal on his face, and after a while, he replied, "Anyway, just listen and watch. How about your Conqueror's Haki top, observation Haki, kid? Ha ha ha, not to mention how top-notch, at least enough. Even if they are chatting, the two emperors have to meet each other a few words." And just after Sengoku asked Monk, and Monk told the usefulness of this thing, both Whitebeard and the redhead were stunned. Immediately, the two emperors showed expressions of astonishment. Not only Redhead and Whitebeard, but also those who were more powerful than Observation Haki were all shocked when they heard Monk's words, and couldn't believe it. Time machine. Go on, what are you kidding, you can. Go back in time and change history. Is there such a thing in this world? Is this shit really an ability that Devil Fruit can possess? Monk is the reincarnation of a god, right? Ben Beckman, Marco, Jazzy, Usopp, all the cadres of Shuangwang were dumbfounded and couldn't believe their ears. This time machine once again refreshed the cognition of everyone present, and the worldview was completely shattered. Red-haired and Whitebeard, the two emperors also felt unbelievable. After a while, the two looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. That's right, fear 5.6. Doesn't that mean? The redhead swallowed, her tone extremely difficult. Doesn't that mean that you can go back to the past, change the direction of the world today, and kill Roger before Roger causes the age of great exploration? Akainu asked excitedly and excitedly. In this way, many things in this world will be changed. Even other, evil, powerhouses, as long as they are hostile to Marine, can use this time machine to kill them in their cradle. But Akainu was excited. Sengoku, Garp, Suru and others still felt inexplicable fear. This comes from the fear of the unknown about powerful and miraculous events. Fortunately, Monk is from Marine, what if it is from other forces? With this time machine, will they be obliterated unknowingly? At this moment, everyone looked at Monk as if they were looking at a black hole in an unknown abyss, and they were extremely grateful that Monk belonged to Marine. Whitebeard, on the redhead side, that's what these two are worried about. The two swallowed. Sweat was already pouring out of the redhead's forehead, and he said in a deep voice, "Whitebeard, I think we are going to start a big battle no matter what. If Marine changes history, the world will become unknown. Can the two of them still stand here? Totally unpredictable. Okay." Whitebeard also nodded. This unstoppable feeling of the unknown is really frightening. Think about it. When they were young, they were strangled before they knew what was going on, and the people they exist now will disappear and be forgotten. How terrifying it is. Fact. Monk is a monster. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Advertisement. Chapter 65 Zephyr. Monk is my salvation. Zephyr back in time. Advertisement. Just when Whitebeard and Redhead are ready to fight to stop Marine from using the time machine. Their observation Haki sensed Monk's answer. Monk smiled wryly and shook his head. The time machine can't change the future situation of this world, nor can it change the current situation. Example. Marine uses Buster Call to erase Oya. Monk. Sengoku burst out, covering Monk's mouth. At this time, Sengoku lived up to the pampering he had given to Monk before, with a serious and dignified face. Some words can't be said indiscriminately. At the same time, Sengoku was surprised. How did Monk know about the Ohara incident? Only then did Monk realize that he had just guessed the red line. This world is still ruled by the world government, and anything close to the blank history is taboo. Call. Monk secretly yelled, in disdain, as Hami, he naturally hated celestial dragons and the regime of the world government. In other words, do you want to build your own country in the future? But this is not in line with my bad life, what a headache. Anyway, let's take one step at a time. As a time traveler, Monk doesn't really have much sense of belonging to this world. Anyway, as long as he is happy, it's fine. As long as those idiots of celestial dragons don't provoke me, I won't deliberately target them. Monk restrained his thoughts, and then began to use other examples. For example, the current world structure. The 4 sea emperors dominate the second half of the new world. Then this is the current world situation. Even if you use a time machine to go back, you can't change the 4 sea emperors, and you can't kill Whitebeard, Redhead, Kaido and Big Mom. After Marine and others heard the words, they couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. As for the red hair and Whitebeard pirates, everyone breathed a sigh of relief after hearing Monk's words. It seems that we won't disappear into this world inexplicably. The red-haired dignified look disappeared, replaced by relaxation. Ha ha ha, why do I feel like I've survived a catastrophe? Ah, Whitebeard didn't know whether to sneer at 29 or something else. Do you think that if you can really change the current situation, Marine will take action against you, a brat? Whitebeard glanced at the red hair and continued, at least it's me, or Roger's level. The redhead was not happy at the time, and responded to Whitebeard. Perhaps it was because of the relaxation of the tense nerves just now, and now Whitebeard and the redhead talked more. The two sea emperors were really scared just now. After all, in the face of this matter, no matter how powerful they are, they will be powerless to stop them when the time machine goes back to the period when they have not yet grown up. It disappeared like this without knowing it, and even the crew, the things they have experienced, and the footprints left by themselves have all disappeared. Isn't this terrible? On Marine's side, Akainu was extremely disappointed. That's such a pity. Although Sengoku said it was a pity, he also had some inexplicable relief in his heart. Once the time machine can really change the past and reshape history, I'm afraid Marine will become the place where all forces in the world dominate, and Monk will not be peaceful. It is very likely that the war will break out in an instant, and the age of war will come, because the time machine makes everyone feel scared. Hey, come on, this time machine is quite limited, Kizaru thought. Indeed. However, some things that will not affect the general trend of history can still be changed. In short, if you can't think of how to use it now, you can keep it for now. Monk said. Speaking, Monk also took a look at Momosugi. Momosugi rolled her eyes and turned her head away to Monk. Monk took out super exclusive Motai and super exclusive Wazian and waved them in front of Momosugi. Momosugi looked annoyed, turned around and picked up the juice from the side table and handed it to Monk. Monk drank it happily. Monk, you have time to take out cigarettes and alcohol, but you don't have time to get your own drinks. Monk didn't answer. Sengoku glared at Monk. Monk, although I say I allow you not to join the army, but how can you say that you are now a special member of the Marine? How can you bother others with this kind of thing? Monk directly handed Sengoku a super exclusive Wazi tobacco. Sengoku shouted angrily. Get out. Monk silently replenished another pack of Wazian, the premium version. Sengoku. Monk ended up taking an extra bottle of mid-level Motai. Sengoku reached out his hand to accept it silently, then turned to Momosugi and said, Momosugi, don't spoil him all the time. Momosugi. Advertisement. Good guy, you took the benefits and turned to me. Is it really good for Martial Marine to have such a face? The episode passed quickly. At this moment, Zephyr walked out slowly. His footsteps made all the Marine generals present turn their heads to look. Immediately saw his expression full of expectation and sorrow. This surprised veteran players such as Garp, Suru and Sengoku. Zephyr, what's the matter with you? Any questions? Garp and Crane stepped forward to inquire. As if he had never heard of it, Zephyr walked past the two and came straight to Monk. The veteran's face was full of fear at this time, and there were infinite expectations and a little panic. His straight waist seemed to be bent at this moment, and he came to Monk with such an expression. Monk. His calloused palms, which had experienced many vicissitudes, poked out, but soon stopped, and spoke in a hoarse voice, but he wriggled and never spoke. Everyone present looked at the veteran Zephyr, not understanding what was wrong with him. Only those veterans, looked at Zephyr at this moment and thought of Zephyr's purpose. Monk naturally also thought of his indistinct life experiences, CMI. He sneered. Okay, Zephyr instructor. Monk didn't dislike the poor man, so his voice was warm, without the usual bohemian. Zephyr's pupils burst into endless splendor, and Monk's answer made all other expressions on his face disappear, leaving only joy. At this moment, Monk's smile is so healing in Zephyr's eyes, and his voice is so beautiful. He can save his wife and daughter, save those newcomers la. Ha 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 ha. Zephyr laughed uncontrollably, looking a little crazy. He stepped forward and hugged Monk who was sitting on the chair, and he just knelt on the ground like this. Great. Zephyr's voice gradually turned into a cry. Monk, you are the salvation of my life. Zephyr hugged Monk and started crying. At this time, Zephyr was like a child, and it seemed so unnatural for his strong body to cry in Monk's arms. Furthermore, as the former Marine Admiral, Zephyr's behavior is completely inconsistent with his status, but Zephyr found out that he didn't care so much. Monk chuckled. No matter how carefree and unrestrained he was still a little moved at this moment. A person like Zephyr in the previous life was someone who could be a lifelong friend and a woman who could be entrusted to her for a lifetime. There were too few such people. Call. Monk let out a sigh of relief, and then said to Zephyr, Zephyr instructor, go and bring back you who you care about. Zephyr calmed down his mood. At this moment, he nodded heavily with an uncontrollable mood, and then stepped onto the time machine. Sengoku, San Admiral, Garp, he and others have no objection to the time machine being used by Jifa. Ha ha ha, Zephyr, you looked so ugly when you cried just now. Garp scoffed. Zephyr didn't care either. He said with a smile. Garp, when this incident is over, I will return to the front line of the Marine. You, who is known as the number one in Marine physical skills, will definitely lose your position. Garp didn't care at all. Old man, now that I'm back in my prime, I'm still afraid that you won't succeed. Okay, stop talking nonsense. I will educate you when you come back, and let you know the consequences of provoking me. Under the guidance of Monk, Zephyr also learned how to operate the time machine. At the same time, he also learned that a time machine can only be used once, which means that he can only choose one rescue among his wife and children and the students he leads. People are selfish, and Zephyr is no exception. He silently apologized to those students who died, and vowed to save them next time, and then Zephyr set off like this. In the distance, red hair, whitebeard pirates and others are all watching. Everyone saw Zephyr driving the time machine and disappearing in front of everyone. Disappeared. Laji Lu murmured. I don't know what it's like to go back to the past, I really hope to experience it once. Usopp was a little envious. To be honest, there is no one who is not envious. In this era full of wars, who has no regrets? Who hasn't lost someone important? Advertisement. Seeing that Zephyr can go back to change the past and protect his dear ones, who wouldn't be envious? Unfortunately, there is no way to watch it. Yeah, I really want to see what happened when Zephyr went back in time. By the way, where is Zephyr from? Don't wait until you go back to the past and happen to meet the old me, and then kill me. The Whitebeard pirates and the Red Hair pirates were discussing, and on the other side, Marine. Everyone looked at Zephyr who disappeared into the air, and they all sincerely hoped that Zephyr would succeed. After discussing for a while, everyone saw that Monk suddenly took out something, which was like a box with a camera in front. Sengoku and others couldn't help being surprised and didn't understand what it was. Shao Kei, is this the last advanced fishing? Crane asked. Monk couldn't laugh or cry. No, this is a time projector, a canopy that matches the time machine. Oh, everyone became more curious. Monk explained. This thing can project Zephyr back in time. This could not help but make everyone feel deeply surprised. Can it still be like this? Zephyr goes back to the past, they can still watch Zephyr like watching TV. This will inevitably make everyone feel interesting and magical. Under the stares of everyone, Monk turned on the projector, and a very clear picture appeared in midair. I saw Zephyr sitting in the time machine and traveling through a world full of weird Luli. On the Four Emperors' side, all the people were also surprised when they saw the picture appear. Can you still transmit real-time images? Monk's devil fruit ability is too outrageous, right? Everyone in 010 exclaimed again and again, feeling incredible. Everyone seriously doubts that Monk is really these things made by devil fruit's ability. But if it is not explained by devil fruit's ability, it would be even more outrageous. In this way, under the watch of everyone, Zephyr returned to the old home and the familiar garden. When seeing this garden, Zephyr only felt that he was dreaming, and felt like he had stepped into a memory. At this time, he suddenly realized that he had really returned to the past. Zephyr couldn't help feeling. Monk's devil fruit ability is really amazing. And at this time, a familiar figure appeared in the garden. He ran was his wife and brought his daughter with him. After seeing the two of them, Zephyr burst into tears immediately, and couldn't stop crying. At this moment, Zephyr really wanted to rush over and hug his wife and daughter into his arms, expressing his longing for them all these years, but in the end Zephyr held back. If he appears, the pirates who are hiding in the dark and want to kill his wife and daughter will not do it, they will choose another opportunity, and Zephyr will take the opportunity. So Zephyr suppressed his strong longing and found a hiding place to hide. He has to wait for the pirates to appear, and he only has one chance. According to the autopsy report at that time, the woman was probably killed within half an hour. Zephyr was worried, if he didn't kill these pirates, everything would be in vain. Suddenly, a group of pirates with knives appeared outside the garden. The moment he saw these people, his eyes burst into murderous intent. He knew these pirates, and when he suppressed them and burned everything about them, he obviously held a grudge in his heart. Since you can't kill yourself, kill your wife and daughter to make yourself miserable. The pirate in the head said with a grin, that fellow Zephyr actually made us lose everything, and I want him to lose his favorite thing too. Ha ha ha, I guess that guy will go crazy when he comes back tomorrow. I really look forward to seeing him go crazy. Ha ha ha, the key is that he doesn't even know who to seek revenge on, he has offended so many people. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded behind the three of them. Hee hee. Who are you looking for revenge? Of course I want revenge on you. The three of them were startled, hearing this familiar but somewhat unfamiliar words. The three pirates turned their heads to look for the sound. Immediately afterwards, they saw Zephyr standing behind them. The three came to ultimate in amazement. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. Why are you here? Advertisement. Chapter 66 Zephyr reverses the past and pledges allegiance to Monk. Advertisement. The three pirates were extremely astonished, they never thought that Zephyr would appear here. What's the situation? What the hell? As Marine Admiral, shouldn't Zephyr be in Naval Headquarters now? Why is it here? The pirates had confirmed that Zephyr was in Naval Headquarters, and they dared not do anything until they came back. At this time, the leader of the pirates trembled and said, did you find anything strange? Why do you feel that Zephyr is getting old? Yes, at least 20 years older than the current Zephyr. Hey, one forced a smile. It seems that this person is not Zephyr, let's do it, maybe it is Zephyr's father, let him kill him together. Off the real screen, a group of Marine generals couldn't help laughing when they saw this scene. Ha ha ha, these bloody bastards. I guess they would never have imagined that Zephyr would go back in a time machine 20 years later. Ha ha ha, these pirates will never know until they die. The Marine generals are sincerely happy for Zephyr. Now that Zephyr has stopped these pirates, the past can be changed. The former high-spirited Zephyr will return. In the crowd, Monk was very surprised. I didn't expect these pirates to be face-blind. He remembered that most people in pirate world were face-blind. In other words, although people in this world say that they have better physical fitness, their IQs are generally not too high. And at this moment, Kizaru on the side suddenly let out a yo, and asked, Monk, if Teacher Zephyr saves his wife and daughter, wouldn't history still be changed? The reason why Zephyr retreated to the second line, served as an instructor, and devoted himself to cultivating the next generation of Marines, Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu are all students of Zephyr. If Zephy's wife and daughter were rescued, there is a high probability that Zephyr would not be relegated to the second line, and would not choose to become an instructor to teach students, and history would change dramatically. Sengoku, he and others were also a little worried after hearing the news. Wouldn't this change a lot of things? Once Zephyr made a change, would they still be here now? Monk chuckled. This won't happen, don't worry, it won't change. After Zephyr rescued his wife and daughter, the follow-up life trajectory will still follow the general storyline later. Why? Sengoku wondered. That's right, logically speaking, it shouldn't be. Crane was also curious. Everyone asked Monk, which made Monk immediately, bad, and shrugged. I don't know. Sengoku, he and others looked at Monk with strange eyes, and felt that Monk was unreliable for the first time. Why do you insist on chasing me? Monk said, looking at Momosugi. This time Momosugi handed the juice to Monk without any hassle. Although Monk doesn't know the reason, anyway, the system says no, so it won't be good. This is not something Monk needs to understand. As a bad player, he will not insist on figuring out the reason. This will only add trouble to himself and cause too many brain cells to die. After drinking the juice, Monk continued, life. Sometimes you can live happily only when you are confused. The Marine generals couldn't help being stunned, and Sengoku couldn't help squinting. Monk, where did you come from so many principles, and you have a lot of experience equals. On the side, Kizaru seemed to see a confidant. Yo. Monk, your words touched my heart. I feel like we are friends who forget the year. Monk immediately blushed. Who is your friend in old age? At this moment, Monk thought of a vocabulary, and said to Momosugi, Momosugi, do we want to be friends with Guanbao? Momosugi couldn't help frowning, and tilted her head in confusion. Guanbao's friend. What is that? Monk couldn't help but sneered and didn't answer. After the episode, Zephyr on the screen has already started to deal with the three pirates. Use his best, black arm. When the three pirates saw Zephyr's black arm, they were stunned and frightened. Really Zephyr. Advertisement. Black arm Zephyr. The three pirates couldn't understand what happened. Since the person in front of them is black arm Zephyr, why are they so old? Zephyr also didn't explain. You guys don't understand the future world. You won't see the future either. To deal with these three pirates, Zephyr didn't use much energy, because these three people are not strong, otherwise they wouldn't use these indiscriminate means. And at this moment, the wife and daughter in the house hurried out after hearing the movement, and saw Zephyr and the three pirate corpses that had fallen to the ground. Zephyr's wife quickly covered her daughter's eyes, looking at what happened in front of her in confusion. Zephyr. The wife hesitated to speak. But at this moment, Zephyr's body had become vain, he could no longer speak, and finally disappeared into pieces of starlight. Use the time machine when you go, and when the time is up, it will automatically return. The scene on the screen disappeared, and everyone saw pieces of starlight appearing in front of them, gathering to form Zephyr. Zephyr is back. He immediately approached Sengoku and said, Marshal, can you lend me a chance to use any door? I am willing to pay 200 W Bailey. Sengoku chuckled. Zephyr, you don't need money. He immediately took out the arbitrary door to Zephyr, and Zephyr didn't show any pretense, and directly used the arbitrary door to return to his current home. I saw that the yard and the house were a bit old, but they were not as dilapidated as before. His wife, he ran, was packing clothes in the yard, and his daughter had grown up, helping his mother in the yard. There was a torrent in Zephyr's heart. At this moment, tears welled up in his eyes again, and he quickly stepped forward and hugged his wife and daughter. The former Marine Admiral was crying like a baby again. The daughter looked puzzled. Father, what's the matter with you? The wife showed a smile and didn't ask, but stroked Zephyr silently. That person was you back then, waste. Everyone in Anglia Island and Marine couldn't help laughing out of relief watching this scene. Zephyr, that B************ D, makes me want to cry. Garp cursed with a smile. After Zephyr and his wife and daughter finished remembering, Zephyr walked back again. Zephyr at this moment is very different from before, the evil fire in his body has been extinguished a lot, and there is light in his eyes again, which is the light of hope for life. In this way, Zephyr came to Monk. Zephyr came in front of Monk, surrounded by Marine soldiers who were still jumping for joy, and felt sincerely happy for Zephyr to save his wife and daughter. However, seeing Zephyr standing in front of Monk without saying a word, everyone was silent for a while. No one continued to speak, just watched silently. Monk looked at Zephyr who was silently looking at him, and said with a chuckle, Zephyr instructor, I'm so happy for you. Your wife and daughter survived. There was a smile on the corner of Zephyr's mouth, a sincere smile. All this is due to you, Monk. Monk chuckled. I can't say that, and with your hard work, if it weren't for your protection, I wouldn't be able to fish in Angle Island, and without Marine's funding, I wouldn't have the funds to fish. Hee. Zephyr chuckled lightly and shook his head. As Admiral, after experiencing the initial joy, I have calmed down a lot now. But even so, the gratitude to Monk is true. I saw Zephyr knelt down in front of Monk, and when everyone was silent, his knees hit the ground with a plop sound. This voice directly hit the hearts of everyone present, and made everyone present feel deeply surprised and shocked. Zephyr instructor. The instructor who has taught many excellent recruits in Marine has a very high prestige and influence in Marine. It can be said that most of the outstanding generals present have favored them. Everyone's heart fluctuated violently. Monk is also a rookie. It's been full of calculations. It's only been about a week since Sengoku brought Monk to Marine, and now this kid who only appeared in Marine for a week as the respected Zephyr instructor, or the former Marine Admiral kneels down for him. What is this? But it seems reasonable to think about it. Although Monk said that he appeared in Marine for a short time, but he is important. It has brought huge benefits to us soldiers and our generals. That's right. My armament Haki is all because of Monk's Motai, and it has improved rapidly in the past few days. Advertisement. Haha. That's right, it's because of Monk's memory bread, and now I also learned armament Haki. I have studied the Marine 6 styles of Vice Admiral Garp, and I am more diligent. I estimate that I will be able to take the position of Marine Vice Admiral within 10 years. You just blow it. The Marine soldiers were clamoring. From the shock at the beginning, to the understanding of Zephyr's approach later, Monk led Marine to have a huge impact. The 3 admirals looked at each other, and everyone was silent, silently watching Zephyr kneeling in front of Monk without saying a word. Change to the past, the loyal dog must be dissatisfied. Monk is a brat, not even Marine, how can such a respected veteran as Zephyr kneel in front of this brat? It lowered Marine's face and lost Marine's majesty. But now Akainu, with a solemn expression, doesn't feel anything wrong. The same is true for Sengoku. As the Marine Marshal, he acquiesced that the Marine veteran kneel down to Monk and kneel down to his nephew. Although he still felt that something was wrong in his heart, as Monk's uncle, or even the Marine Marshal, he had never enjoyed such an honor, but in the end he still didn't say anything. Everything happens by default. Monk asked Zephyr to rescue his wife and daughter, and completely resolve the grief that Zephyr had buried deep in his heart. Zephyr's kneeling to Monk is understandable. It can be said that Zephyr's kneeling is more representative of his personal wishes than Marine's wishes. Sengoku didn't say anything, although he said that he was very jealous of his nephew who came to Marine to enjoy such an honor within a few days, and felt that his uncle seemed to be a serious failure. But he was deeply proud of having such a nephew from the bottom of his heart. This made him turn his head to look at Garp, and said with a chuckle, "Garp, how is my nephew?" "That's my godson, of course it's good." Garp raised his chin and said. Sengoku's face turned black immediately. Originally, he wanted to attack Garp. "Let's see what your offspring are." One became the Revolutionary Army equals and became the most vicious leader of the Revolutionary Army in this era, and the other became a pirate. Various. Trouble is defined as the worst era, and now the nephew brings great benefits to Marine. But it never occurred to Garp to say such a sentence suddenly, and Sengoku couldn't be dealt with. Arguing with Garp, the embarrassing person, Sengoku felt that he would lose, so he simply stopped talking. That's just Garp entertaining himself, he will never admit it, and Monk didn't admit it either. In the distance, Whitebeard, Hongfa and others looked at Zephyr kneeling in front of Monk, feeling very moved. "I didn't expect that there would be such a newcomer in the contemporary Marine." Whitebeard murmured. Zhao Nuo's this time Monk will completely establish his foundation in Marine, and his influence will also be greatly improved. In the future, he will be a very difficult existence. The red-haired nodded, and then said, "It's pretty much the same as when I was an intern at the captain, but my influence is also great." Red-haired brat, won't you blush when you say this? Whitebeard glanced at the red hair. This guy is too thick-skinned, isn't he? As expected, it was brought out by Roger, with a hard-spoken face. Ignoring the red hair, Whitebeard looked at Monk with dark eyes. A new era has come. If you want to board the ship of this era, you must get the same magical item as Monk. But now the Monk is Marine's treasure, and it is so difficult to get magical items. By the way, Redhead, what did you want to say to me just now? What's your best way to get Monk's magical item? The redhead chuckled. Whitebeard, you'll know later, don't worry, wait until this incident is over. Whitebeard snorted coldly, pretending to be a ghost. He also ignored the red hair and continued to look at Anglet Island. Monk here. Zephyr knelt down and kowtowed heavily for Monk, then raised his head and said to Monk with firm eyes, "Monk, Zephyr swears that even if he sacrifices his life, he will. For you, go up the mountain of swords and go down into the sea of fire, donkey. My life is yours from now on, Monk." Zephyr's voice was like a drum, resounding through the audience. It seems to be announcing to the sea that as long as he is still alive, Monk will not die. At this moment, Monk gained a diehard loyalist. Monk felt that as long as he ordered to kill a celestial dragons now, Zephyr would not hesitate at all. Advertisement. Chapter 67 The Last Advanced Fishing. The Second Admiral Awakens Conquerors. Advertisement. Monk is not a hypocritical person, nor does he have the kind of sincerity and fear that because Zephyr is a veteran in Marine, the veteran will kneel down for himself. He chuckled lightly, acting very calm, like a superior standing on countless piles of bones. Uncle Sengoku couldn't help being surprised. Why does this kid feel more experienced than me, the Marine Marshal? What kind of monster did my brother give birth to? But it's not that Sengoku hasn't seen Monk before, and Monk didn't perform so amazingly before. Was this kid stimulated by something? Monk got up and helped Zephyr up. No need to apologize, just prove it with your actions, Zephyr. Zephyr nodded heavily. Of course. Monk. Ha ha ha, the old man will not let you down. Those who plot against you, if they want to get close to you, they must step over my dead body. After finishing speaking, Zephyr looked at Sengoku and said to Sengoku, "Sengoku, leave the task of protecting Monk to me in the future." After finishing speaking, he looked at Momosugi again. From now on, you don't need to protect Monk personally, just leave it to me. Momosugi was taken aback when he heard the words, and Monk was also taken aback. No, Momosugi resolutely refused. Zephyr was surprised. Don't you like protecting Monk personally? Just now Momosugi was staring at Monk. No, I like it very much, no one can snatch the task of protecting Monk from me. How could Momosugi give up the task of protecting Monk? There are many benefits to being around Monk, Motai, etc. Besides, she hasn't got the time source rope of her age and regained her youth. But the most important thing about Momosugi is that when Zephyr asked him just now, she felt a bit of hesitation inexplicably. Momosugi Bing didn't understand what was going on. Did he really like this kid? No, impossible. Momosugi tried her best to deny it in her heart. In her eyes, Monk was just a brat with shaggy hair. How could she like him? I am only together to get benefits from him, to get the source of age, everything is for myself. Momosugi goes crazy. CPU, herself, trying to make herself feel like that's why she's staying with Monk. 033 Zephyr wanted to say something else, when he came out and said, why are you an old man joining in the fun? Ask Xiao Ke, does he want a woman by his side, or an old man? Really, if you want to be grateful to Monk, then just stop bothering Xiao Ke and Momosugi at ordinary times. Listening to Grandma He's words, Monk coughed lightly to diffuse the awkward atmosphere. Although I said, I would like to give Granny Crane a thumbs up. Here we are discussing who will protect Monk closely, but in the crowd on the other side, the T-Dolphin has been hit hard. No wonder I failed to confess so many times, it turns out that Momosugi likes fresh meat. The T-Dolphin decides that on his next trip, he must catch the time source rope of age through Monk, and then restore youth, which is called the little fresh meat that Momosugi likes. Seeing that the people discussing things are getting more and more biased, they even discuss to the point of giving Monk a blind date. Zephyr said that his daughter is about the same age as Monk. If Monk likes to betroth to Monk, this was rejected by Momosugi on the spot. Zephyr immediately refuted that Momosugi could not make decisions for Monk, and Momosugi said that she is Monk's bodyguard, qualified to replace Monk make a decision. As for Monk, the master, he drank his drink silently and ate his own melon. He couldn't get in anyway. When the smell of gunpowder was full, Sengoku immediately stood up and scolded. Now our marine is performing a mission, and the place we are in is still New World, and there is a double emperor not far away. How can you behave like this? Sengoku's scolding ended the inexplicable episode. Everyone chose to keep their mouths shut. With a dark face, Sengoku took out his marine admiral, and said solemnly, Monk, keep fishing. Is there the last advanced fishing left? Monk nodded. That's right. Well, let's go on then. Monk put down the drink in his hand, stopped talking nonsense, and continued to fish. There was only the last advanced level left, and he didn't know what he could fish this time. In the distance, the red hair pirates and whitebeard pirates are here. The red hair felt a little regretful. I didn't expect to lose. As the former marine admiral, Zephyr personally protected Monk, but Monk didn't make a choice. Whitebeard laughed. Red hair, so you're still a kid. Advertisement. With beautiful women around, how could you choose a bad old man? What's the use of a daughter? A woman will only affect the speed at which I draw my sword. Said the redhead. As he spoke, he handed Whitebeard a 100 Bailey. Ben Beckman and Marco, the two Emperor's assistants, looked at each other, covered their faces, and shook their heads speechlessly. Who would have thought that the gamble between the two dignified sea emperors was only 100 Baileys? If this leaks out, it is estimated that it will become a joke in this sea. When Whitebeard took the money, he stopped joking and said in a deep voice, however, my main judgment is because Monk's strength is actually not simple. Oh, the redhead was surprised. What do you say, Whitebeard? Whitebeard shook his head. I didn't say anything, it's my intuition. My intuition has always been accurate. I trust my intuition. That kid Monk should be quite extraordinary. Hee hee. The redhead chuckled. He naturally also felt that Monk was not simple, which was a fact before his eyes, but the redhead didn't think that Monk's strength was not simple. A kid, or a rookie, how powerful can he be? What makes Monk shine is nothing but his devil fruit ability. Without devil fruit ability, Monk is nothing. But now Monk, Conqueror's Haki has been able to shock Vice Admiral for a few seconds. Exclamation mark. This time the advanced fishing is faster than before, and Monk thinks that this is most likely because his system needs to be upgraded. The voice of the system sounded from the mind. Congratulations on obtaining the Yu Fruit Blue Dragon form and the high-level Super Holy Water. Hit it twice. For this result, Monk is quite satisfied. Although there is nothing new, the Devil Fruit obtained by advanced fishing has a very high degree of development. As long as the Monk uses it, it can become a strong player in an instant. In addition, the Green Dragon Fruit has an additional bonus, that is, it can make Monk have the strongest biological physique. Greatly enhance Monk's strength. Monk feels that after studying this time, his strength will be comparable to that of Momosugi, the Marine Admiral candidate. Of course, if the strength is really comparable to Momosugi, according to Momosugi's actual combat experience, he can still suppress himself. But for this point, it is not within the scope of Monk's consideration. Anyway, he doesn't know how to fight, and Monk's dream is not to make a shot during the battle, and just rely on the Conqueror's Haki to directly shock the audience, so as to make the opponent lose the battle without making a shot. Convergence of thinking. Specific improvement depends on tonight's study, there is no need to think about these things now. Monk has decided to keep this open black lens bracket UU fruit green dragon form close black lens bracket for himself, and then send out open black lens bracket advanced super holy water close black lens bracket. This super holy water has no effect on Monk at all. It is the same as Awakening Conqueror's Haki, but it is more advanced and can make the Awakened Conqueror's Haki more intense, reducing a lot of training time. Today's Monk Conqueror's Haki has reached the advanced level, and there is no need for this. On the contrary, the improvement that the strongest biological form can bring is a bit more. Monk took out high Sejek grade super holy water, looked at this familiar bottle, and it was more high-end than before, and everyone immediately guessed it. After all, everyone has also fished not once or twice, and they have already understood the rules. Is this the premium version of super holy water? Sengoku asked. The others also looked at Monk with radiance. Now that there are so many high-level marines, only Sengoku and Akainu who drank the super holy water have awakened Conqueror's Haki, so many strong people are very eager for Conqueror's Haki. That's right, it has the same effect as the original super holy water, of course. Because it is advanced, the effect is better. Monk replied. Sengoku nodded, and immediately began to think about who this bottle of high-grade super holy water had been distributed to. Choose from strong players such as Aokiji, Kizaru, and Fat. Soon, Sengoku ruled out Kizaru again, because this guy always fishes when fighting, and it doesn't have much use after giving it to him. Sengoku didn't say anything about Kizaru, it doesn't mean he doesn't know, as the Marine Marshal, he knows many things. At the same time, on the side of the Double Emperor, the Red Hair Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates watched Monk take out a bottle of something, and they couldn't help being curious. What is this? Marco couldn't help but look at Ben Beckman and Usopp. The observation Haki of these two are top-notch, and they should be able to perceive the conversation on the Marine side. Usopp shook his head. I don't know. Monk's conversation with Sengoku doesn't mention what this thing does. Advertisement. What can be guessed at the moment is that this new magical item has a high probability of being helpful to the strong. Ben Beckman said. Yeah, the redhead said. Marine and the others are discussing who this thing is for. Then he looked at Whitebeard and said, what do you think? Whitebeard also shook his head, who knows? Monk's magical item, just looking at the appearance can't see the effect at all. The redhead shut up. It was indeed the case, it was hard to understand the specific function of Monk's magical item without listening to his introduction. Angle Island. In the end, Advanced Super Holy Water decided to give it to Aokiji. Aokiji didn't talk nonsense, since he decided to assign it to himself, he also took over Advanced Super Holy Water from Sengoku. Crane said again. Aokiji, after you finish drinking, give me this bottle. Firstly, this bottle is very beautiful and exquisite. Secondly, with this bottle for illustration, the flowers can last for several days without withering. The flowers planted from this bottle a few days ago do not need to be replaced until now, and the field is good. So for this bottle, Crane, the Marine Chief Staff Officer, likes it very much. Aokiji naturally had no objection, no more nonsense, he started to open the bottle cap. The moment the bottle cap was opened, Admiral, who usually seemed not interested in anything, actually felt throbbing at this moment. That was the expectation that he was about to awaken Conqueror's Haki. As a Marine Admiral, not being able to awaken Conqueror's Haki seems to be a super curse, which makes many Marine Admirals full of regret. However, their generation is lucky, there is a demon fruit power like Monk, who can make Admiral awaken Conqueror's Haki without any difficulty. Aokiji exhaled slowly, and then began to push the high-level super holy water to drink. Far away, Whitebeard Pirates and Red Hair Pirates all shut up, waiting for the effect of this bottle. After Aokiji took a sip, his whole body felt hot, as if something deep inside his body was about to explode. That force, a force that has never been felt before. And this power has not been released, it is constantly accumulating, constantly improving, and constantly becoming fishy. This made Aokiji start to blush, and sweat began to appear all over his body. Okay, it's so fierce. Aokiji said a little uncomfortable. Just when he felt as if he was about to explode, the power in his body began to surge out crazily, erupting from Aokiji's body. And the force that burst out is Conqueror's Haki. The moment the Conqueror's Haki erupted, all the Marine soldiers present were stunned and fainted, even Vice Admiral's forehead was sweating, and his eyes were full of astonishment. So strong. Akainu was horrified. Aokiji, hurry up. Sengoku said half of the sentence. Cursing himself secretly, how could he have forgotten? The first awakening Conqueror's Haki, basically released unconsciously, is very difficult to control. In order to prevent a large area of Marine soldiers from fainting, Sengoku intends to release Conqueror's Haki to stop it. But Akainu beats him to the punch and frees Conqueror's Haki. Akainu's Conqueror's Haki clashed with Aokiji's Conqueror's Haki, preventing Aokiji's unconscious Conqueror's Haki from sweeping the field. What shocked Akainu was that he had been using Motai to assist in practicing Conqueror's Haki in the past few days. Now his Conqueror's Haki has improved rapidly, but facing Aokiji who just the awakened Conqueror's Haki, it's a bit difficult to stop. This is the effect of more advanced super holy water. Well, that's outrageous. This means that Aokiji's starting point is much higher than him. If I knew this, I might as well wait for drinking super holy water now. Don't I need to practice these days? Reluctantly, Akainu held off Conqueror's Haki in the end. The two strands of Conqueror's Haki disappeared, and the Marine soldiers who were not fainted all sweated. Then, that terrible coercion finally disappeared. Fortunately, Akainu took the shot, otherwise it is estimated that Vice Admiral and below will lose their fighting power. On the other side, the expressions of Whitebeard and the redhead changed drastically. Advertisement. Chapter 68 New Props. Bamboo Dragonfly. Advertisement. The Whitebeard pirates and the red hair pirates all looked extremely horrified. Everyone present was stunned in place, each with expressions of doubting life. Conqueror's Haki. Aokiji awakened Conqueror's Haki. Doesn't that mean that 2 of the 3 admirals now have Conqueror's arrogance? In other words, Akainu's Conqueror's Haki was also awakened by this super holy water. Big, high probability. Marine Admiral's inability to awaken the curse of Conqueror's Haki is broken. Ah, this shit is simply outrageous. Laji Lu scratched his head. Conqueror's Haki needs to be qualified as a king to be awakened, but what I didn't expect was that there is something that can awaken Conqueror's Haki. Ben Beckman picked up the cigarette on the ground, which had just been shocked and dropped. Putting it back in his mouth expressionlessly, he said, this means that not only is Marine Admiral able to awaken the Conqueror's Haki by breaking the Admiral's curse of the past, but it also means that as long as there is a monk, as long as you catch this super holy water, then anyone in Marine can awaken Conqueror's Haki. Marco swallowed. All Conqueror's Haki. Suddenly I feel that Conqueror's Haki is so cheap, it feels like Chinese cabbage. The 2 four emperors, Redhead and Whitebeard, were speechless for a while. After a while, Whitebeard murmured, I never thought that this thing is the awakening of Conqueror's Haki. Compared with Whitebeard, Redbeard is more at a loss. What he is most proud of is his Conqueror's Haki, but now that he knows about super holy water, Redbeard suddenly feels that his arrogance is broken. But soon, he comforted himself. Fortunately, my Conqueror's Haki has reached the level of Haki side leakage, and also has the effect of killing knowledge. Thinking about it, it's not too cheap. Whitebeard didn't turn his head, but said quietly, do you think if Monk continues to fish, there will be no props that can improve Conqueror's Haki? After a pause, Whitebeard added, I'm not talking about assisting cultivation, but a magical prop that allows people to instantly master an ability like a lightning pill. The redhead stopped talking. He really wanted to say something. Impossible, absolutely impossible. It took him a lot of time to cultivate Conqueror's Haki to the peak, and it is impossible for him to improve instantly. But the red hair suddenly thought that Garp, who was holding the lightning pill, hadn't practiced swordsmanship. People still have a knife in hand. I have the world. So the redhead stopped talking, and there is a real possibility that it will appear. Red-haired kid, or let's join forces and snatch Monk. The expression on Whitebeard's face told the red-haired that he was not joking, he really wanted to snatch Monk. However, the redhead smiled bitterly and said, do you think we have a chance? Let's not talk about Monk's ability to leave New World in an instant through any door, but let's talk about the importance Marine attaches to Monk. We have no chance at all. Whitebeard let out a sigh of relief, it is true. This majestic strongest man on the surface actually let out a long sigh, showing his helplessness. The redhead shook his head and sneered, why, Whitebeard, so you also feel deeply powerless? Don't you? Monk's miraculous items constantly refresh my worldview, which makes me admire and let me feel powerless. Perhaps the new era doesn't have my ship. Everyone in the Whitebeard pirates looked at each other and fell silent. They had never seen such a pessimistic father, and it was enough to say that the shock of Monk's magical item was too great for Whitebeard. At this time, Whitebeard calmed down his mood. Oh, it seems that I am really old. He actually said such a thing. With that said, Whitebeard cheered up his mood again, and said, red-haired brat, stop talking nonsense with me, tell me about your plan quickly, how do you get the magical item? The redhead sneered. Whitebeard, you are really in a hurry. This time the red hair didn't hide anymore, we can support the black market. Getting magical items in the black market, why do we say that the probability of the magical items we got at the beginning is very low, but it is better than nothing? Whitebeard frowned and asked, how? The redhead curled his mouth and began to tell Whitebeard about his plan. Angle Island. Aokiji feels the Conqueror's Haki after his awakening, and now he can control it freely after the initial uncontrolled explosion. He has also become Admiral with Conqueror's Haki, and his combat power can be upgraded to a higher level. Because Conqueror's Haki itself can bring about the improvement of combat effectiveness. The Marine soldiers recovered from the pressure of the Conqueror's Haki just now, and immediately cheered. Advertisement. But this time the Marine soldiers were very direct, not to congratulate Aokiji, but to congratulate Monk directly. Thank him for bringing benefits to Marine. The improvement of Marine Admiral's combat power is naturally the improvement of Marine welfare. Sengoku didn't urge either, and let Monk enjoy the congratulations of the Marine soldiers. When it was about the same time, Sengoku stopped the congratulations from everyone present, and said to Monk, okay. It's getting late, let's continue. Because it took a lot of time just now, it's getting late now, and the sun is almost approaching the sea level. Monk responded and continued to fish. Next is 35 intermediate level fishing, divided into 7 fishing, and only 15 10,000 worlds props are needed for Marine. Monk has a lot of room to play tricks, and slowly choose the magical props he thinks of. Soon, Monk started throwing poles. The first 5 magical props are 2 bottles of intermediate Mautai, 1 pack of Wazian, and intermediate arbitrary door and intermediate fairy beans. Nothing special, Monk gave them all to Sengoku, which counts as giving Marine 5 magic items. Only 4 of 10 magical items remain. In the next few times of intermediate level fishing, the items were all quite satisfactory, and no new magical items appeared. It's not until the last fishing, which promotes new magical items. Congratulations to host for getting the 10,000 realms prop, Bamboo Dragonfly, because the first time he got the Dao Kong is improving. Don't be too familiar with this Myriad Realms prop. The props that appear most often in Doraemon can make people fly in the air. It's just that I don't know what new functions will be available after the system is improved. Monk is still looking forward to it. Soon, the system was improved for the Bamboo Dragonfly. Monk quickly looked at the system and saw the introduction of Bamboo Dragonfly. In Doraemon, the use of Bamboo Dragonfly relies on batteries. After the improvement of the system, Bamboo Dragonfly does not need batteries and only needs the user to inject physical strength. That's it. And according to how much physical strength is injected, the speed of the Bamboo Dragonfly can also be changed. Ha ha ha. Monk smiled in his heart. This Bamboo Dragonfly is definitely an artifact in this world. In the world of pirates, there are basically no strong people who can fly. Even if there are magical devil fruits, there are very few devil fruits that can fly. The appearance of the Bamboo Dragonfly is an absolute artifact that enables the strong to fly and fight. Monk doesn't plan to keep it for himself, although he is also very interested in flying, but he has the form of Yu Fruit Green Dragon, so he can still experience flying if he wants to. Speaking of which, it doesn't seem to be flying in the green dragon form, but uses the flame cloud to grab and trample to stay in the air. But anyway, as long as you can stay in the air. So Monk didn't need the Bamboo Dragonfly, so he gave it away. 14 mid-level Myriad Realms props were sent out, and Bamboo Dragonflies were added at the end. Everyone in Marine originally thought that there would be no new magical items for the intermediate fishing this time, but after seeing a small gadget brought out by Monk, they immediately became interested. Although the Bamboo Dragonfly has been improved, its appearance is still the same as the original Bamboo Dragonfly. Monk thinks this is also a major advantage of the Bamboo Dragonfly. It is small and mini, which makes the Bamboo Dragonfly not easy to be attacked. Sengoku, San Admiral, Garp, he and others were very curious about this small propeller after seeing the Bamboo Dragonfly. Whitebeard, Hongfa and others who were watching from a distance were also very concerned. A miniature propeller. What's the use of this thing? The red-haired leader squinted his eyes and guessed. Could it be a push? It can make the ship sail faster. Very likely. Whitebeard mused, echoing the redhead's guess. Although this thing is very small, if it is really used as a propeller, it feels that it can't push a huge boat at all. It is estimated that a sailboat can't push it, but it is a magical item for monk fishing. After seeing all kinds of mystical items before, the double emperors felt that they could accept no matter how outrageous they were. Ask for flowers. Angle Island. Monk smiled and introduced. This magical item is called Bamboo Dragonfly. He didn't make a fool of himself, he demonstrated it directly, nothing else. Monk just wanted to experience the feeling of flying. To put it a bit embarrassingly speaking, he had never made a plane before crossing, and he had never experienced the feeling of pushing his back and looking down at the world, and now he just tried it. Everyone saw Monk wearing the Bamboo Dragonfly on his head. Advertisement. This scene directly made everyone stunned. Monk is Sengoku's nephew, but his facial features are much more refined than Sengoku's, and he did not inherit the square face of the Sengoku family. This is the Monk today. But such a handsome young man now wears a Bamboo Dragonfly on his head, making everyone present feel like a silly hat. Isn't this too inconsistent? What is the magic item used for this time? Everyone looked at each other and saw the strange eyes in each other. Sengoku sniffed, thinking that no matter what the function was, he would never wear it. As the Marshal of Marine, the Supreme Commander of Marine, he is the soul of Marine, so he represents the facade of Marine. If he wears this thing called Bamboo Dragonfly, how will he be viewed by others? Simply lowering Marine's prestige. Everyone else more or less thought the same way, especially Akainu. As a more serious existence, after seeing that this thing called Bamboo Dragonfly was actually staying above his head, he gave up his interest in Bamboo Dragonfly. It's too outrageous. Think about him, Admiral, the strongest Marine, with a Bamboo Dragonfly on his head, how funny. Even if the Marine soldiers don't feel anything, and the outside world doesn't feel anything, Akainu feels that he can't get over it in his own heart. This level. Because of the special use method of the Bamboo Dragonfly, many Marine executives present were somewhat resistant to the Bamboo Dragonfly. Only Garp, Kizaru and other careless people are still curious. What's the use of wearing this thing on top of your head? Garp leaned closer, looking at the Bamboo Dragonfly on top of Monk's head. Yo, I don't see what's the use of it. Kizaru rubbed his head in the same puzzlement. In the distance, the Whitebeard pirates and the Red Hair pirates looked at each other. Just now they were still guessing whether the magical item of Bamboo Dragonfly would be the power device of the ship, which could make the ship sail faster, or be able to sail on the calm belt. However, unexpectedly, Monk turned his head and put this thing on top of his head, which was a big reversal. Since it is worn on the top of the head, it can be used by oneself. What convenience can this thing bring to people? Isn't it hot in summer? Fan. It's not that everyone is too stupid, but they are in this era, and most of their ideas are bound by the technology of this era and this world, and they can't think of too many unconstrained ideas. 0. On Monk's side, he sneered. The Bamboo Dragonfly can make people fly, just like the lightning pill, you just need to infuse it with physical strength. Look at it. Monk began to inject energy, and everyone in Marine was taken aback after hearing Monk's words. Generals like Sengoku, Akainu, and Crane, who originally looked down on bamboo dragonfly, have re-examined bamboo dragonfly. Can make people fly. In the world of pirates, flying is extremely rare. I saw that after Monk injected his energy, the bamboo dragonfly began to spin, and the rapid spin lifted Monk up and left the ground. The pupils of everyone present shrank sharply. It turned out to be an aircraft. It's still an aircraft that doesn't need energy. 11. After Monk took off, he continued to introduce. Controlling the bamboo dragonfly is also very simple. You only need to think about it. You want it to be right. It will be right. You want to make it. It's left. It's left. In midair, Monk showed the bamboo dragonfly to everyone, flying continuously in the air. It is not too simple. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The marine soldiers cried out in surprise. It's so convenient. No complicated operations are required at all. Yes, as long as you have a normal mind, you can operate as you like. The most important thing is that no energy is needed. Everyone has physical strength. I just don't know how much stamina this thing consumes. 27. Everyone at the scene was very envious of the bamboo dragonfly. Oh, advertisement. Chapter 69. The law of true fragrance always works. New item. Seraphim Core. Advertisement. In the world of pirates, flying is a very rare thing. Even though there is a special move called moonwalk in Marine 6 styles, very few people can learn it. Basically only generals can use it. Therefore, flying is a luxury for most Marine soldiers, even for the strong. Most of their air combat relies on their powerful jumping power and explosive power to allow them to stay in the air for a short time. Now Monk's magic item seems to be able to solve this problem. The only problem is whether the bamboo dragonfly consumes too much energy. Friendly or unfriendly to normal Marine soldiers. Monk fell back to the ground, took down the bamboo dragonfly and said with a smile, as long as you don't use the bamboo dragonfly all the time, ordinary Marine soldiers can at least maintain the use time for 3 to 4 hours. Even if you use it with all your strength, it can probably last for about 1 hour. As soon as this remark came out, the audience erupted. Did it consume so little stamina? Can we also maintain it at 3 to 4 hours? Ha 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 ha, doesn't that mean that the bamboo dragonfly can make ordinary soldiers like us fly? Wonderful magical item. We never dreamed that one day we will be able to fly freely. Ha 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 ha. Yes, although there are Marine 6 styles, moonwalk consumes a lot of physical strength, and it requires very high physical fitness, so it is difficult for ordinary people to learn it. Even if it is learned, it is difficult to maintain, but the bamboo dragonfly is different. The Marine soldiers chattered excitedly, talking about their views on bamboo dragonflies. On Monk's side, 853, Garp couldn't wait to try it after seeing Monk's demonstration. Without the slightest hesitation, he put the bamboo dragonfly on his head, and immediately operated the bamboo dragonfly to fly. Within a short while, Garp was familiar with the use of bamboo dragonflies, ha 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 ha. Above the sky, Garp laughed, as this what it feels like to look down on everything in the sky. It makes me feel better. Next, let the old man try it out and see how it goes in actual combat. For Marine, the most important value of magical items is naturally the actual combat value of putting them into battle. Only if it is of great help to actual combat, the regiment has absolute value. Come, redhead, you kid, come and practice your hands for me. It has to be said that Garp, who is now 20 years old, really likes to make things happen. For the red hair pirates and whitebeard pirates, everyone is still shocked that this time the magical item can make people fly. Wherever you think of something inexplicable, someone will come to your door. Ben Beckman frowned, very dissatisfied with Garp's approach. Garp, what do you mean? My captain is the Emperor of the Sea, is it something you can use casually to practice? The redhead signaled Ben Beckman to stop talking, and he said in a deep voice, I'm also very curious about this bamboo dragonfly. It depends on the actual combat value. The props that can make people fly, once the actual combat value is great, then they can also learn about it in advance, and even if they get it later, they can use it directly without grinding. The redhead didn't pay attention to the views of his own members, and rushed towards Garp directly with the soles of his feet. Because the two parties considered it to be a competition, it is said that the red hair did not pull out his griffin. The redhead's speed was so fast that Aokiji jumped up from the ice that had just frozen on the sea. The fist is attached to the Conqueror's Haki. Ha ha ha, happy. Garp was also delighted, and with a thought, let the bamboo dragonfly go towards the red hair. The speed of physical strength injection reached the extreme, and the speed of the bamboo dragonfly also began to accelerate. This speed has reached the level of generals. $7. This speed is comparable to our speed. Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and Ghost Spider Vice Admiral were all very surprised. They never thought that this little thing could explode with such great power. Advertisement. On the sea ahead, Garp couldn't help frowning. This speed is not ideal. Something too slow. For Garp, a top gymnast with a ceiling, he naturally felt slow at such a speed. Senior generals such as Sengoku and San Admiral are also observing carefully. Nice speed, commented Sengoku. He is the Marine Marshal, and what he wants to see is the overall situation. This bamboo dragonfly is pretty good, but it's a bit inferior in the high-end battlefield. Soon, Sengoku's words stopped and his eyes started to flicker. Originally, he thought that the bamboo dragonfly was not ideal for high-end battlefields, but Garp's next move changed his opinion. I saw that Garp used moonwalk to kick in the air, and his speed suddenly increased, and because of the bamboo dragonfly to maintain the flight, Garp didn't need to rely on constant stepping to keep himself in midair. In other words, although the bamboo dragonfly said that the speed is not very ideal for the strong can rely on their own explosive power to increase their speed. At this time, Garp was fighting with the redhead. Garp's feet didn't touch the ground the whole time, and his back seemed to have wings, attacking wildly in the air. Because bamboo dragonfly can be manipulated only with the mind, Garp can make many attack moves that could not be used before. The changeable moves and tricky angles are unexpected. The red hair was suppressed by Garp for a while. Shen is tricky. Garp was extremely excited, and laughed loudly. Good thing, bamboo dragonfly is really good thing. Isn't this more perfect than wings? Wings need to be incited to change direction, but the bamboo dragonfly does not need it at all. It reacts instantly when a thought is moved. This instantaneous change not only makes its reaction speed faster and its evasion more flexible, but also makes its attack more fierce and sharp. At this time, Garp is like a flying god of war. At the scene, whether it was Marine, the Whitebeard pirates, or the Red Hair pirates, everyone watched this exchange in astonishment. The flexibility in the air, I feel like I can't even match it. Marco stared blankly, and murmured. When he wanted to keep himself in the air, his arms had to turn into wings, and then fly with his arms, so he couldn't fight so flexibly. And Garp's combat is extremely flexible, even if Garp's combat power is not higher than him. Under the same combat power, Marco feels that he will definitely be abused by Garp. Whitebeard, Ben Beckman and other strong men looked at Garp and the bamboo dragonfly above his head, full of envy. As for Marine, Sengoku, Crane, and Akainu have already left behind their initial views on bamboo dragonflies, and others want it very much. It can be said to be really fragrant. Because it was a sparring session, Hongfa and Garp didn't quarrel for too long, and they didn't kill each other. After Garp's test was almost done, Hongfa stopped immediately. Stop what? Garp sneered. Come on, keep going. Garp is still very interested. Using the bamboo dragonfly to fight, let Garp discover a new world, which makes him very much want to continue to learn from each other. However, the red hair didn't want to. He had already achieved his goal and saw the great value of the bamboo dragonfly in actual combat, so he didn't want to continue the sparring. In fact, the most fundamental reason is that the fight was too aggrieved, and the whole process was crushed by Garp. It was really uncomfortable in my heart, so I said that the red hair didn't want to continue the discussion, so I stopped it decisively. Garp returned to Angle Island with a happy face. His face was full of unsatisfactory thoughts. That B*********** D with red hair is really forcibly terminated when I was about to climax. It really made me feel very uncomfortable. Sengoku ignored him, and quickly asked Garp to take down the bamboo dragonfly, and then he wanted to experience it. Soon, Sengoku experienced the convenience of the bamboo dragonfly, which amazed him. After the Sengoku experience, Akainu was next. Admiral, who originally thought he would never wear a bamboo dragonfly, was very active and wanted to experience a bamboo dragonfly. Finally, Akainu took the lead in experiencing it. On the redhead side, he's back with the Whitebeard pirates and the red hair pirates. His face is not too good looking. This time the magical item is used in actual combat, which can bring a substantial increase in combat power to the strong. This combat power improvement is in terms of agility and flexibility. Yeah, Whitebeard nodded. I watched it carefully the whole time, and it was really amazing stuff. With this thing, the sea will no longer be an obstacle to demon fruit power, and you can transfer the battlefield to the sky as you like. Monk, this guy is really doing what you said, changing the future of this world. Ben Beckman murmured. Advertisement. Everyone was silent. Once Marine uses Monk's bamboo dragonfly to form an air force, it will bring huge troubles to the pirates. Everyone's thoughts fluctuated, and after a while, Whitebeard said in a deep voice, Redhead, do you think your black market plan can be successful? Hee. The red-haired restrained his mood, and said. I dare not say that I can get all the magical items of Monk, but the more conventional low-level magical items are still sure. After that, it's up to Lime Jones. The redhead said, looking at Golem Jones. Lime Jones is a member of the Red Hair Pirates. The configuration of Red Hair Pirates is similar to that of Kaido. The three main cadres are Ben Beckman, Lackey Lu, and Usopp. The others are the 6 major cadres. M. Jones is one of them. Understood, Captain, I will do my best. Lime Jones laughed. Whitebeard didn't continue to speak, and could only see how the next plan was going. Angle Island here. After experiencing the bamboo dragonfly, Akainu and others are full of praise for the bamboo dragonfly. Yo, Marshal, give me this bamboo dragonfly. Kizaru took the initiative to apply to Sengoku for this bamboo dragonfly, and his application was naturally rejected. You are a sparkling fruit user, what do you need this bamboo dragonfly for? Sengoku said unhappily. He was really speechless to Kizaru. What was going through this guy's mind before he said this? With sparkling fruit, Kizaru can achieve a similar flying ability, and the speed is even faster, so there is no need for bamboo dragonflies at all. Hey, I think this bamboo dragonfly is more fun. Sengoku turned black and ignored Kizaru. He said to everyone present. This is a special prop for Marine, and you can borrow these items through application when you lead the team. Sengoku had been thinking about these things for a long time before, how to reasonably allocate Monk's magical props, and finally decided to establish a special department in Marine, the Magical Props Department. Divide the magical items into grades, and what kind of generals can borrow which grades to make a division. In this way, everyone can enjoy the magical items. Everyone is a little sorry, it seems. At present, there are not many bamboo dragonflies. If you want to own them, you must find monk to fish by yourself. But fishing is like gambling, no one can be sure that they will be able to catch what they want. After putting away all the magical items for intermediate fishing, Sengoku looked at Monk and said, okay, the next step is elementary fishing, and Monk will trouble you. Monk nodded and motioned for Momosuke to pass the drink, and then took a sip of the drink before starting to continue fishing. The 50 primary fishing times are all marines, because the 50 times he spent for nothing was converted into 5 intermediate fishing times, so there is no way for Monk's 50 primary fishing times. Whoring for nothing. No, it should be said that it is necessary to subsidize the useless elementary Myriad Realms props. Because it is very likely that 0.9 will get universal experience points from primary fishing, and this reward cannot be used by anyone except himself. So how many times you catch universal experience points, Monk has to subsidize how many elementary Myriad Realms props by himself. For this, Meng doesn't care. His Junior Universal Capsule, Junior Fairy Bean, Motai and Wazi are still in stock, and it will be enough to subsidize them at that time. I spent 5 more intermediate level fishing for nothing, which is worth more than the primary Myriad Realms props. While thinking about this, Monk started fishing. 50 times of fishing. For Monk, only 10 times of fishing is needed. As for Marine, the reason why Sengoku does not use the money for intermediate fishing is mainly to replenish the sea. Army inventory. Intermediate fishing is therefore better than elementary fishing, but the price is also 10 times higher, and it is impossible to obtain a large amount of fairy beans, universal capsules, stamina pills, etc. Therefore, elementary fishing is the key to replenishing a large amount of Marine's magical item inventory. At the same time, most of these elementary fishing magical items will also be used to help new Marines improve. This time, the first few times of primary fishing were very routine, and they were all things that I had seen often before. Monk suddenly had some guesses in his mind. These things that he often sees should be things with a relatively high probability. As for the lightning pill, the time machine, there is a high probability that they are special props. It wasn't until the last 2 fishing trips that new Myriad Realms props appeared. They are Seraphim Core Shichibukai level and transformation camera. Open black lens bracket Seraphim Core Katakana middle dot Shichibukai level close black lens bracket is an item of this world, so it doesn't need to be improved, and open black lens bracket correct camera close black lens bracket needs to be improved. Advertisement. Chapter 70 Dress up as a camera, give Momosuke a maid outfit. Everyone is confused, why does Monk have conquerors? Advertisement. Seraphim Core Shichibukai level, as the name suggests, it can use this core to create a seraph whose strength reaches the Shichibukai level. Seraphim is another name, collectively they should be said to be artificial humans. As for the open black lens bracket transformation camera close black lens bracket, a Myriad Realm prop, Monk originally thought that it could be changed after being improved. Unexpectedly, there was no change. It is still more convenient to change clothes. Speechless. Monk discovered that his open black lens bracket god level fishing system close black lens bracket fished such tasteless props for the first time. It can only change clothes, and it can't bring value to the battle and the improvement of its own strength. But thinking about it is still helpful for some specific people, such as CP spy agents. When performing special tasks, the disguised camera can come in handy. I don't know what function can be improved if intermediate fishing can get this thing. No matter, you will know when you catch something. Monk intends to keep this cross-dressing camera, so that he won't need to spend money on clothes in the future, and even if he goes on a trip, he doesn't need to worry about what clothes to bring. In short, he just needs to bring a few key photos. Leaving the cross-dressing camera behind and filling in the vacancies of props that can only be used by oneself, this time the primary fishing is complete. What I have to mention is that this time, Monk caught Hawkeye's sword technique again in the elementary fishing. According to the system, if the elementary and elementary are combined, it can be merged into an intermediate. To Monk's satisfaction, after the fusion upgrade becomes an intermediate level, the all-purpose experience points added before will not be cleared. This will make Monk's intermediate Hawkeye blade technique stronger after fusion. Stop thinking about it, and talk about it after I go back today. Soon, Monk took out 50 elementary Myriad Realms props and gave them to Sengoku. For tobacco and alcohol, they only occupied 18, which made Sengoku very satisfied. Because primary tobacco and alcohol are only delicious and have no effect on improvement, naturally the less the better. As for the Myriad Realms props, there are more fairy beans, arbitrary doors and universal capsules, and other props such as stamina pills, memory bread, etc. occupy a small part. However, the primary props are to supplement the stock of Sengoku and universal capsules. Sengoku is quite satisfied with the result. The last magical item, Monk took out Seraphim's Core Shichibukai level. For this magical item, Kizaru was the most surprised. Oh. I have to, if this thing is Vegapunk, it can speed up the process of his pacifism project that he is currently entering Kong. Kizaru is not only admiral, but also the Minister of Science, so he is very familiar with Vegapunk's ongoing scientific research projects. Just right, this time I also have something to ask Vegapunk, I'll show it to him. Sengoku put away Seraphim's core, and then said to all the Marines, okay. That's it for today's mission, thank you for your hard work equals. Fishing has been completed, the next step is to evacuate. Naturally, Monk was first evacuated under the protection of two bodyguards, Momosuke and Zephyr. Yes, in the end both Momosuke and Zephyr became Monk's bodyguards. As for the new army camp, Sengoku was responsible for the subsequent appointment of the instructor. With the departure of Monk and others, fishing has officially ended today. Marine Generals Sengoku, 3 admirals, and Garp didn't leave immediately. They still have a very important thing to do, which is to let the Whitebeard pirates and Redhair pirates, the 2 royal groups, leave the scene and forbid the 2 emperors to contact. Naval headquarters. Only a smear of red remains in the setting sun. Looking at the lingering red, Monk murmured, I worked overtime today. No, I will continue to rest tomorrow. Momosuke who followed didn't feel anything, but Zephyr was very surprised. Monk, do you still want to rest? Isn't this just the end of 2 days of rest? Why do you still have to rest? Your uncle will definitely not agree. Zephyr added. Whether he agrees or not, I didn't join the Marine, he, the Marine Marshal, can't order me. Monk looked away, and walked towards his house. Zephyr didn't know what to say, so he simply stopped talking and followed Monk silently. Soon, Monk, Zephyr and Momosuke came to the house. Monk couldn't help standing still in front of the house, then turned his head and said, Holy Hair Instructor. I'm no longer an instructor. Zephyr said with a smile. Hee. Monk chuckled and didn't say anything, it didn't matter. You don't need to protect me these days, now that your wife and daughter are back, you go and spend time with them. Monk didn't mean to drive Zephyr away. He said this because he really wanted Zephyr to accompany his wife and daughter. After nearly 20 years of separation, this veteran should be more selfish. How can this be done? I won't go back. I said I want to protect you, so I must do it well. This is my responsibility. Monk immediately snapped. Advertisement. His expression was serious, not artificial. Monk couldn't help but smile helplessly in his heart. Maybe it's because of Zephyr's personality, selfless devotion to Marine, seriousness in his work and responsibilities, and being responsible. So in the end, after Marine did something that broke his bottom line, he would choose to go to extremes. Zephyr Instructor, this is Naval Headquarters, and Momosuke. Monk. Zephyr's face darkened. He turned his head a little angrily, and said in a deep voice, There's no need to talk anymore, I won't leave. Although it is said that this is Naval Headquarters, and there is Momosuke Vice Admiral protection. I'm not looking down on Momosuke Vice Admiral, but absolutely keep you safe, Monk. Although your ability to fish devil fruit is the #1 fruit in the world in my opinion, the ability of this fruit is miraculous, but it cannot bring you combat power. With me protecting you, an extra layer of insurance. Inside and outside the words, Zephyr's meaning is very simple, that is, he feels that Monk is weak, and he is worried. Momosuke couldn't stand it anymore. Zephyr Instructor, actually Monk is not as bad as you imagined, his current strength is estimated to be difficult for flying squirrels and ghost spiders. Zephyr laughed immediately, and laughed angrily, okay. You two are united to drive me away, right? You actually say such things to deceive me, you want to drive me away, I just leave. About last week, Sengoku contacted me and asked me to pick up Monk and go to the recruit camp. At that time, Sengoku said that Monk had no strength. It's only been a week now, you tell me. However, Zephyr's words stopped in the next second, and he looked at the monk in front of him in disbelief. Monk Conqueror's Haki broke out at this time. A drop of cold sweat fell on Zephyr's forehead. His grandma Sengoku, co-author, are you lying to me? Zephyr was originally dissatisfied with Monk for letting him leave, to stay with his wife and daughter. He also thought about it, but now Marine needs Monk. Monk is more important, Monk is the hope of Marine in the future, no. It should be said that it is the hope of the future world. As long as Monk's magical item can make Marine end the age of great voyages and make the sea peaceful, then the same tragedy as before him will disappear. However, what Ling Zephyr never imagined was that Monk, who had no strength in his eyes, was the extremely powerful Conqueror's Haki that exploded at this moment. Haki swept Shang Zephyr, frightening the veteran. Bah! Conqueror's Haki. Unexpectedly, it was Conqueror's Haki. Zephyr was stunned on the spot with a face full of shock, with drops of sweat dripping from his forehead. This is not to say that Monk's Conqueror's Haki was enough to frighten Zephyr, a veteran player. It was too surprised, and Zephyr didn't react for a while. Sengoku is cheating on me. Such a strong Conqueror's Haki cannot be developed overnight, the most important thing is that this young man, Monk, has awakened Conquerors. Monk restrained the Conqueror's Haki, the coercion around him disappeared instantly, and the airwave that swept the audience also disappeared. He drew the corners of his mouth and said with a sneer, Zephyr Instructor, I'm not a soft persimmon. Zephyr regained his composure a little bit, looked at Monk, at this young man, with a confident smile on his face at this moment. This smile seems to feel that the clouds are calm and the wind is light in this sea that has not yet been turbulent. That's right. Monk doesn't need to awaken Conqueror's Haki on his own at all. He can fish for super holy water, and even like today's Aokiji, he directly uses high-grade super holy water to make the first awakened Conquerors immediately reach a certain strength. This kid in front of me is the source of all magical items and the key to Marine's rise. Why do I feel that he is weak? He is the master of all magical items, how could he be weak? Zephyr calmed down his emotions a little bit, and let out a breath slowly. He sneered, shook his head and said, it's us old fellows who have preconceived it. I feel that you are fishing for magical items for our Marine, and those magical items are used on our Marine. I feel that your strength has not improved at all. You are the master of all magical items, you can get them by fishing casually, hee hee, you are old. Thinking has also become dull. Zephyr laughed at himself. You can't blame us, the main reason is this guy's problem. On the side, Momosuke crossed his hands in front of his uproar, and said angrily. This guy usually looks like an old god, and he doesn't care about cultivation and his own strength at all. This also caused us to misunderstand, thinking that this guy didn't improve his strength at all. Where do you know, this guy pretends to be very serious, he just wants to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger. After finishing speaking, Momosuke snorted coquettishly. Monk cursed inwardly, Momosuke is too disrespectful to him, right? Advertisement. This guy, the name of this guy, seems to have been with him for too long, and after getting acquainted with him, he drifted away. Monk squinted his face calmly, and immediately pretended to be very embarrassed. Oh. I still have a rope of the Source of Age item on me, and I don't know who to give it to. Momosuke's beautiful eyes twinkled as soon as she heard it, and she hurriedly said, give it to me, give it to me. Monk, I want. As if he had never heard of it, Monk said to Zephyr, Zephyr instructor, how about giving it to you? When you regain your youth, you can also provide Marine with combat power, and Marine will usher in another strong man at his peak. Zephyr was taken aback for a moment, then saw what Monk was thinking, and smiled helplessly in his heart. This guy. He understands that Monk is trying to mess with Momosuke on purpose. After all, this guy is very stingy. Zephyr still remembers that when he was fishing for the first time, Garp was directly remembered by Monk because he said something wrong, and he overcharged 500,000 Baileys when fishing. One sentence is worth 500,000 Baileys, it's black enough. Zephyr cooperated with Monk's performance and chose to reject the rope of the Source of Age, provided by Monk. Oops. Monk 210 once again had a headache. Zephyr teaches. Officer, your refusal will make me feel distressed again. Quote. Beside Momosuke was so anxious that she was about to blush and cry. Why would she, a Marine Admiral alternate, be willing to protect Monk? The main reason is not just because of the Source of Age, seeing sister he regaining her youth, she is really envious. Momosuke longs for the Source Rope of Age. Monk looked up at the sky, speaking of which, this day is really tiring. Zephyr instructor, you are old and have experienced many things. What do you think is the meaning of life? Zephyr was stunned. Just now he was able to cooperate with Monk, but now he doesn't understand what Monk is going to do. How can you talk about the meaning of life? What should I answer you? What do you need from me? Zephyr really didn't understand. Immediately, I heard Monk thinking to himself. I use the fishing fruit ability, and my body is extremely exhausted. I have to clean the room at night, and... does it mean that people have to do these trivial things? At this time, Momosuke seemed to have caught the straw of hope. She quickly said, I'll come. Monk, let me help you clean your room, wash the toilet. Monk suddenly smiled brightly. You said this, you can't go back on it. Absolutely no regrets, and guaranteed to make you satisfied. Momosuke vowed. Very good. Monk was very satisfied. Momosuke was overjoyed and immediately went to clean Monk's room. Monk immediately stopped Momosuke. Wait. Momosuke was puzzled. Any more questions? The corner of Monk's mouth was drawn, and he took out the cross-dressing camera. From the system, every job is sacred and needs to be taken seriously. Marine has its own uniform, so now that you have to clean the room, you also need your own uniform, don't you think? Momosuke frowned slightly. She felt a bad premonition, but she couldn't guess it. This made her want to answer Monk. No. But think of Source Rope of Age. Momosuke finally forced a smile. Yes, Monk. Ha 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 ha. Monk laughed, then walked into the room and took out a fashion magazine in the room. Then tear off the page of the maid outfit and put it into the open black lens bracket cross-dressing camera close black lens bracket. Outside the door, Momosuke and Zephyr looked at Monk's actions with bewildered faces. Momosuke couldn't help asking. Zephyr instructor, what is Monk doing? Zephyr smiled wryly. How do I know? Maybe I'm doing something that he thinks is meaningful to his life. Advertisement. Chapter 71. Finish the fishing and call it a day. Strongest creature. Physique blessing. Advertisement. Monk's actions made neither Zephyr nor Momosuke know what he was doing. Why did you just take out a camera? What is this for? Although the level of technology in this world is relatively low, there are still things like cameras. So, Momosuke and Zephyr knew that what Monk brought out was a camera. I saw Monk returning to the door with a disguised camera, and came to Leaping Rabbit and Zephyr. In the suspicious eyes of the two, Monk directly picked up the camera and said to Momosuke, Momosuke, say eggplant. Huh, Monk, what are you doing? Momosuke asked puzzled. However, Monk didn't answer, and pressed the shutter directly, and then a burst of white smoke appeared on Momosuke's body, accompanied by a bang, and in Momosuke's astonishment, the maid uniform was put on Momosuke's body. I have to say that although Momosuke is old, her appearance and figure can be called S-class, and the maid outfit is enough to make most men's blood swell. I go. Zephyr exclaimed. His eyes widened. He didn't understand what happened in front of him, why Momosuke suddenly changed his clothes. Momosuke's expression was even more exciting. When she saw herself in a maid outfit, she suddenly exclaimed, Monk, what did you do to me? Why, my clothes turned into this. Momosuke recovered from her shock and turned to glaring at Monk. As a soldier, or a strong man in the army, how could she accept wearing such an attire? Monk didn't care about Momosuke's anger. He laughed and said, didn't I say it, Momosuke? Any job must be taken seriously. When you are in the Marine, you need to wear the uniform prescribed by the Marine. Now that you work for me, don't you need to change into a uniform? Are you kidding? Momosuke shouted. After Monk finished speaking, he raised his eyebrows and said, or, you don't want to help me. Momosuke was speechless. If she didn't help Monk, she would definitely not be able to get the source rope of that age. How about being wronged in order to regain youth? When I don't need to rely on Monk's magical items, I will settle accounts with this guy. Thinking of this, Momosuke had no choice but to endure the humiliation. She gritted her teeth secretly, and finally returned to the house in a maid outfit angrily. It's better to enter the house quickly to avoid Wei Miao being seen by other Marine soldiers, or you will lose face. With a loud bang, only Longfa and Monk were left outside the door. Zephyr smiled wryly, and said with emotion, Momosuke has a hotter temper than Crane, and the only one who can make her give in is you, Monk. After finishing speaking, Zephyr tentatively raised his eyebrows and asked, by the way, Monk, you don't actually have the source of age, do you? Zephyr guessed that there is a high probability that Monk does not have this magical item now. Monk didn't hide anything, he laughed and said, yes. Zephyr laughed and shook his head. You have to be careful tonight, Chuyi will definitely be natural when she finds out. It's okay. As long as she still needs my magic. Sometimes I suspect that you are a cunning old fellow, not like a young calf. Monk chuckled, not humbled. Zephyr asked curiously. Monk, is the camera you just used a magical item? Yes. Monk picked up the cross-dressing camera and introduced it to Jifa. After finishing, Monk smiled and said, Zephyr instructor, do you want to change into a suit to meet your wife and daughter? Isn't it inappropriate to wear a military uniform? Zephyr smiled and shook his head. No need, my wife is proud of me joining Marine. She said that I look the most handsome in military uniform. When Zephyr said this, his eyes shone with light, which was the light of hope for future life, as well as unspeakable joy. The veteran didn't have the despair and lifelessness before. Ha 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 ha, I think so too, backquote. Monk laughed. Since Zephyr said so, he didn't force him, and asked Zephyr to go to see his wife and daughter in military uniform. Okay, Monk put an end to this conversation. Zephyr instructor, let's go. Yeah, Zephyr nodded. After seeing Monk's powerful Conqueror's Haki just now, he has nothing to worry about. Unless the 4 Emperors level, or the Cadre level powerhouse comes to naval headquarters, otherwise no one can get close to the Conqueror's Haki shown by Monk. And here is the naval headquarters, 4 Emperors, Cadres and other strong people are impossible to step into. Advertisement. Otherwise Marine could disappear from this world. After Zephyr said goodbye to Monk, he was about to turn around and leave, but at this moment, Monk stopped him. What, Monk? Zephyr was surprised. Monk sneered, and immediately gave Zephyr a random door. Zephyr was surprised. Monk, what are you? Monk laughed. Do you want to drive a warship there? Although I don't know where your furniture is, I am sure that using any door is definitely faster than any tool. It was too much for Zephyr to decline. But Monk had already turned and opened the door, entering the room, while any door stood in place. Zephyr just stood there in a daze. He didn't expect this kind of heaven-defying magical item. Monk would give it as he said. He couldn't help turning his head to look at any door. This is still an intermediate-level door. The difference is that there is a gold border next to the pink color, which means that this is a more valuable door that can be used 10 times. Is this too big a deal? Zephyr clicked his tongue secretly, not to mention that things like fishing are random, and only intermediate fishing costs 2000 W Bailey. For a moment, Zephyr looked at Monk's house, feeling warm in his heart. This little guy will definitely become a big weapon in the future. And Zephyr feels that the future Monk will definitely be able to reach an unimaginable level, surpassing anyone in the world today. No. It should be said that it has reached the highest achievement that no one has been able to achieve for more than 800 years. Zephyr naturally didn't know that celestial dragons still had a king, and that was I am. And if Monk wants to achieve a high position, he must not die before that. Hee hee. Zephyr chuckled lightly, his eyes became domineering, sharp and resolute. As long as my black arm is here, Monk won't be hurt at all. In the past, Zephyr didn't call himself Black Arm after he suffered setbacks, but now, he calls himself Black Arm again. This means that Black Arm is back again, and this time, this Black Arm is no longer just for justice, but to protect Monk. Zephyr stopped thinking, turned the handle of any door, and left naval headquarters. Zephyr left naval headquarters to meet his wife and daughter whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Soon, night fell on the land. In the room, Monk sat on the easy chair. This time he put the easy chair on the balcony, looking at the sea in the distance. The sea under the night is full of unknown mystery. Moke just watched silently with a cigarette in his mouth. Although it has only been nearly half a month since he traveled to this world, Monk felt extremely comfortable. Wait and come back to digest what you got today. Today's stamina pills, universal experience points, and Yuyu fruit green dragon form have not been used yet. When I finish all the upgrades, I'm sure my strength will be comparable to Momosuke. Ha 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 ha, I don't know if Conqueror's Haki can deter Vice Admiral for a few seconds this time. In the battlefield, there is a huge difference between a few seconds and a few seconds. A few seconds is likely to determine whether a person is alive or dead. Therefore, even if there is only 1 second of improvement, it's also a huge boost for Monk. Correct. Monk, who was sitting on the easy chair, suddenly had a bright eye, and he thought of one thing. If I learn the form of Yu fruit and green dragon this time, I will get the strongest biological physique, and my physical strength will be greatly improved. In this way, he can use more lightning pills. Coupled with the powerful Conqueror's Haki, after the shock is over, use the lightning pill in an instant, and you can easily kill Vice Admiral. Hee hee. Monk smiled wryly. This bad habit of mine has never changed, and first even use Marine Vice Admiral as the criterion for dividing strength. My uncle is the Marine Marshal. If he knows that he is always thinking about intimidating Vice Admiral and slaughtering Vice Admiral, he will definitely he screwed his head off. In short, let's enjoy the moment first, and continue to look at the night scenery, just don't worry. Wait until later to improve. At this time, there is only Monk in the room. As for Momosuke, she is reporting Monk's news to Sengoku. Marine's highest conference room. Everyone's eyes widened, and their faces were full of disbelief. Advertisement. Momosuke, what you're wearing. Sengoku was very shocked. The majestic admiral's candidate strongman, Momosuke who will be strong in his life, actually wears a maid outfit. It's arguably the most shocking event of the day, aside from Monk's magical items. Momosuke rolled his eyes, with a look of indignation. You are going to ask your grandson, that B************ D has a magical item that can change clothes instantly and change me into this suit. Sengoku was speechless, waved his hands and coughed lightly. Wait until I go and teach that kid a lesson, he's getting more and more drifting, that B*********** D. Momosuke rolled her eyes angrily. Come on, even though you are his uncle, aren't you being manipulated by that precious nephew of yours? Have you forgotten what happened at noon? While fishing at noon, Sengoku was bought by Monk. Sengoku chuckled again. There was no way to refute, so he just shut up. At the same time, there is another clever way, which is to change the subject. Momosuke, let's talk about business. Did you come here this time to refresh Monk's fishing spots tomorrow? Momosuke snorted unhappily. She naturally knew that Sengoku was changing the subject, so she didn't get entangled in this matter. Because she found a problem. After wearing this maid outfit for a long time, she actually likes it somehow. Not only can you change your style, but you can also show your own. Momosuke didn't dare to think about it anymore, so she could only comfort herself. Everyone has the love of beauty. Besides, she was forced by Monk to wear a maid outfit, and she didn't like it herself. Restraining his thoughts from continuing to spread, Momosuke responded, No. It's so early today, I came here to convey the news that Monk asked for leave. He said that he will ask for leave tomorrow and stop fishing. That B********* D. Sengoku was suddenly annoyed. I just finished 2 days of rest yesterday, and now I have to ask for leave again. However, he soon realized that Marine was really running out of funds recently, so he had to contact the world government and apply for a batch of funds from them. Can continue fishing. Call. Sengoku let out a long breath. Forget it. It just so happens that I'm going to Egg Point Island to find Vegapunk, and at the same time go to a holy place. After finishing speaking, Sengoku looked up at Momosuke and said, Tell that boy Monk to start fishing next time when his uncle and I come back to naval headquarters. Momosuke nodded in response, and was about to leave immediately, returning to the minister. But it was stopped by Sengoku. That's right. Momosuke turned her head in surprise and asked, What, Marshal? Anything else to order? Recently resting, you have nothing to teach Monk some tactics and Marine 6 styles, that little B******** D is lazy to death. Marine's manpower is limited, he gets money, so it's hard to keep an eye on him all the time. In case of any danger, his own strength is the only way to save his life. Momosuke secretly twitched her mouth. She really wanted to say, the current Monk can at least be 50-50 as powerful as Vice Admiral, of course. It is those weaker Vice Admirals, such as Momosuke, T. Dolphin. Flying Squirrel is a powerful Vice Admiral, Monk is still difficult to deal with. But remembering that Monk told him not to tell others about his combat power, the reason is that if someone really wants to attack him, they will also despise him, and then he can catch people off guard. Momosuke felt that this made sense, so he held back, nodded and said, Understood, Marshal. After responding, Momosuke left the meeting room. Monk's room. After being comfortable for a while, Monk decided to start digesting today's harvest. He first used the most important Yu fruit blue dragon form. After obtaining the ability of this phantom beast devil fruit, Monk obtained the strongest creature physique. Monk looked at his body in amazement. The muscles of his body became harder and more resilient, and his defense, attack, and agility all transformed to a full scale. New levels. All go. If there is something in this devil fruit, drag it. No wonder Kaido is called the strongest creature. As he spoke, Monk clenched his hands into fists, and then he punched the ground. Without using the armed color, Monk tore the ground into cracks, and at the same time, the fragments scattered, and the fist was dented. You're going to be Superman right away. Monk lamented that this was the result of his random punch, without using any Haki. That is to say, after I have the blue dragon form, I can already compete with Vice Admiral in strength, and I am not a weak Vice Admiral. Advertisement. Chapter 72 The Time Machine Shocked the Sea, Shondo was copied by Vince Moke. Advertisement. The current Monk is definitely stronger than the veteran Vice Admirals like Flying Squirrels and Ghost Spiders. This is also due to the fact that when fishing, fish fruits are not obtained from primary fishing, so there is a proficiency advantage. Monk flicked his palm, not because of the pain, but because of the dust on it. The next step is to integrate Hawkeye's knife skills, upgrade it to the intermediate level, and then drink Motai while adding universal experience points. Originally, Monk thought that his strength improvement tonight was probably comparable to that of Admiral candidates such as Momosuge and T-Dolphin, but now he wants to surpass Admiral candidates. Thinking of this, Monk couldn't help but sneered. It's been nearly half a month since I traveled to this world, and my strength is close to that of Admiral, haha. I have almost no cultivation. If Momosuge, T-Dolphin and other generals know, they will probably vomit blood, right? Monk is a little bit looking forward to the expression of everyone in Marine, especially his uncle, Sengoku, after he reveals his strength. It must be very exciting. No longer thinking about it, Monk continued to improve his own strength. First, he integrated Hawkeye's knife skills to successfully upgrade him to an intermediate level. As the world's #1 swordsman's sword technique, even if it is only intermediate, it is comparable to the weak Vice Admiral. Afterwards, all the stamina pills of various levels were taken, and finally, the experience points could be obtained while drinking high-grade Motai. Most of them are still added to Conqueror's Haki, and the other small parts are added to Shock Fruit and Azure Dragon form. So after Momosuge came back, he saw this scene. Monk leaned comfortably on the easy chair, holding Motai in one hand and Wazi in the other. This made Momosuge's brows and eyes twitch. Chun-Chun is just like a stubborn kid. To be honest, if she didn't know that Monk's strength is not bad, she would definitely despise Monk. Occupying herself with a special devil fruit, just indulge herself like this, and wait for death. But what is annoying is that he is such a guy who eats, drinks, and spanks every day, who is not weak, so he is not angry. At this time, Monk just finished adding points. Seeing Momosuge coming back, he chuckled and said, "How? Uncle, did he agree?" Momosuge nodded, "Yeah." Then Momosuge asked Monk for the source rope of her age, and she was willing to go all out today. As a Marine Vice Admiral, she was Admiral's alternate, not only helping Monk clean up, but also cleaning the toilets. She also runs around in maid outfits. When talking about the source rope of time, her face was full of joy, but when Monk said no, this, old and beautiful 340 girl, became angry. The rage was indescribable, and he almost lost his mind and killed Monk. Monk said calmly, "Don't be angry, just take it as what I owe you. To be honest, I'm taking advantage of you. If you think about it carefully, you took the initiative to clean it for me from the very beginning. From the beginning to the end, did I ever say that I would give you the time source rope of your age after cleaning once?" Quote. Momosuge thought about it, and soon discovered a problem in shock. That is, Monk really never said that after Momosuge finished cleaning, he would give himself the source of age rope. This made Momosuge so angry that she almost crushed her back molars. She ate more salt than Monk, and she was tricked by this guy. It was a shame to throw it home. Monk ignored Momosuge's anger. He got up from the easy chair, and said with a smile, "It seems that you are quite dissatisfied with me, so I will give you a chance to vent your anger." Momosuge's willow eyebrows couldn't help but frown slightly, and then said in a bad mood, "Get out." Ha ha ha. Monk didn't care either. Momosuge is angry now, and it's normal for her to have a bad attitude towards herself. "I'm serious, let's compete, so that you have a chance to vent your anger." "Hey," Momosuge sneered suddenly, "don't, I'm afraid to wait to hack you to death." Quote. Monk didn't care. "It's okay, I have intermediate level Shondo here, as long as you hack me to death and give me Shondo, I can be resurrected." Immediately, Momosuge's eyes brightened. The intermediate level fairy bean had been experimented before. The flying squirrel died in the battle on Cake Island and was resurrected with the intermediate level fairy bean, so it can really be resurrected. Yes, Momosuge's eyes brightened. Not to mention how excited she was. She had endured the little b***** D monk for a long time, and taking this opportunity, she wanted to ravage him well. Anyway, there is an intermediate level Shandujong, even if he is killed by mistake, he can be revived. Momosuge's face is filled with joy about the success of revenge, Monk's side. With a faint smile on his face, he took out any door at the same time. Naval headquarters naturally couldn't compete. You are more promiscuous and have been to many places, so you choose a place that is suitable for learning. I'm more promiscuous. What do you mean? Momosuge squinted his eyes, and his eyes were, CJFI, somewhat unfriendly. Is this B***** D scolding himself for being a prodigal? Damn it. Advertisement. Momosuge decided to vent all her dissatisfaction at that time. Filled with resentment, Momosuge chose a suitable place to learn from, and then opened any door. At the same time, after Marine ended today's fishing, after several news fermentations, the news quickly spread to the ears of all parties. New World, Cake Island. At the top of the main hall, the ant cursed. D Marine, you actually gave the redhead and Whitebeard a better magical item. Auntie is really angry. There is a huge difference in the level of a magical item. Take Shondo as an example. The elementary level Shondo cannot resurrect the dead, while the intermediate level Shondo can resurrect the dead, and its value is much higher than that of the elementary level. All the retainers around were trembling, and the ant's anger was not something they could casually bear. Soon Big Mom suppressed her anger and asked Katakuri, did Monk catch any new magical items this time? Time machine. Katakuri replied. Then he explained the function of the time machine, and at the same time told how Zephyr went back to the past to change the past. This made the ant's reaction extremely violent. There is also this kind of magical item, which can go back to the past and change the past. The ant's eyes widened hugely, as if she wanted to swallow someone. Immediately, she sat back on the throne because of the shock. Go back in time, change history. Wouldn't it be that if I can get a time machine, I can know why the nun disappeared, and I can change everything? None. For the aunt, the disappearance of the nun was her biggest knot so far. After a while, Big Mom stood up and said, Katakuri, how is Vince Moke going? I can't wait to go to the island of ghosts with the results. Aunt did not ask if there were any new magical items in the future, but eagerly asked about the progress of the Vince Moke family. It's progressing well. Already found an alternative ingredient to make sento. Katakuri replied. The current effect is 3/10 of Monk's original beans. Judge said that they are working hard to adjust it, and hope to reach 4/10 effect. After the aunt heard the words, her face immediately showed joy. I will talk about the debugging later. First make a batch of these 3/10 effect fairy beans, and then I will go to Ghost Island. Ha ha ha. Mon. My aunt had contacted Kaido before, but Kaido's attitude was very disdainful, and she asked her to show the finished product first, so she had to wait for Vince Moke to reproduce the finished product, and then go to Kaido to negotiate. As long as Shondo is successful and can be mass-produced, then they have to find a way to get more magical items, and then continue to reproduce. Wano-kuni. In the skeleton building of Onijima, on the high back chair at the top, Kaido's expression changed. After a while, he said in a deep voice, I didn't expect such a devil fruit to exist, time machine. Kaido narrowed his eyes slightly. If Marine uses this to change history, wouldn't it be very bad? Although Jin below said he was wearing a mask, it can be seen from the change in his eyes that he was also shocked. Brother Kaido, I think this time machine should be limited, otherwise Marine would not be able to use it to save useless civilians. Quinn took a cigar in his mouth and smoked it in big mouthfuls to calm the shock in his heart. After a while, he said, I also think it's very possible. Jack has been rescued, and the man-made devil fruit has been successfully traded, but even the rare zone devil fruit of the ancient species has a strong healing ability, and the body is still bandaged. I don't think there is a limit. Zephyr has made great contributions to Marine, and Marine may reward him. Captain, two big brothers, you have never seen magical items with your own eyes, so don't be too heaven-defying. This, Head Iron King, was really stunned by Garp's knife, and now he has become, Monk Blow. On the first part, Kaido pondered for a moment. Then he said in a deep voice, however, what are the facts? After this incident, we have to re-examine the impact of Monk bringing Marine. The time machine, the knife that allows people to master advanced knife skills, and Kaido repeated Monk's magical items, and every time he said one, his brows became more frowned. Each of these magical items from fishing is too powerful. Soon, Kaido said to himself, as if talking to Sanji, it seems that I have to reconsider Linlin's proposal. Everyone in the three disasters was speechless and did not express their views. Angulet Island. The Whitebeard pirates and the Red Hair pirates are back here again to meet here. Advertisement. Members of both parties, including cadres of each party, stayed on the ship, but only the two captains, Whitebeard and Red Hair, disembarked and met on the island. I really didn't expect that I have already half-stepped into the grave, and I can still see the magical items that bring a new era here this afternoon. Whitebeard looked at Anglia Island and said with emotion. The Red Hair couldn't help laughing and said, I also didn't expect that today I could still hear such emotion from the so-called number one man in the world. It seems that in the afternoon, Monk's magical items gave you too much shock. Otherwise, with Whitebeard's character, how can he say that he has half a foot in the grave? Huh, Whitebeard sneered. Little devil, aren't you shocked? The redhead shook his head and smiled wryly. Would you believe me if I said I wasn't shocked, Whitebeard? Okay, stop talking nonsense. Redhead, how do you proceed with the black market plan you mentioned? Naturally, I bought the magical items of the magical monk at a high price. The red hair said very naturally. Huh, Whitebeard frowned. What kind of heaven-defying effect does the magical item have? Do you think Marine will allow it to be traded on the black market? The red-haired chuckled. As long as the value is large enough, there will be people who are willing to take risks. Monk's primary fishing is gradually downplayed by the Marine executives, and then there will be a situation where it will be distributed to the people below. And Marine soldiers then. There are many people who have justice in their hearts, but there are always some people who don't have it, or are in urgent need of money. As long as there are people seeking money, then our plan can be carried out. Whitebeard didn't make a sound, listening to the redhead talk about his next plan. Listening to the redhead's narration, Whitebeard couldn't help but feel that he was old and his mind was not very flexible. There is a high probability that what the redhead said can be carried out. But the only problem is, Whitebeard said the problem, since how should we choose who to take care of the black market? Marine will not allow our four emperors to control the auction house behind the scenes, but the auction house is very deep and needs a strong leader. The redhead didn't wait for Whitebeard to finish, and interrupted with a smile. I've thought about this question a long time ago. There is no need for any of our cadres to go in person. Oh, Whitebeard was surprised. He's still your old acquaintance, by Z. Pluton. Rayleigh. Whitebeard's domineering eyes flickered a few times. Roger's deputy to the Emperor did not expect that this guy was not dead yet. Senior Rayleigh is very familiar with the auction house, haha. The redhead laughed. He often sells himself. Sabayati Archipelago, ripped off tavern. Rayleigh sat at the bar and sneezed, which made him mutter, it's so strange, who is scolding me? There are very few people in this world who still miss me, right? There are still few people who miss you. Shaki walked in from the door. You owe so many romantic debts outside, I think I can't finish it in a year. After hearing the words, Rayleigh chuckled lightly. Shaki, I'm not that kind of person. I go out to reminisce about every bit of this sea. Shaki sneered. Yeah. You used to be a strong man at sea, but now you don't even know what's going on in the sea. Rayleigh was taken aback. Something big happened in the sea. What's the big deal? As a former great pirate, Shaki belongs to his own intelligence network even after he retires now. I saw her walking back to the back room, and then took out a stack of information and slapped it on the table. See for yourself, a demon fruit power with very special abilities has appeared in Marine. Just as Rayleigh was about to pick up the information in his hand, his expression changed drastically. Not only him, but Shaki was also full of astonishment. This Conqueror's Haki. The red-haired boy is here. Advertisement. Chapter 73 New fishing location. Vodka Kingdom. Vegapunk is here. Advertisement. No, Rayleigh's face hardened. Although this Conqueror's Haki is strong, it is far from Shank's level. Who would that be? Shaki kept searching for possible people in his mind. But no matter how hard I searched, I couldn't guess who it would be. It's impossible for the four emperors, because this is the territory of the government. If the four emperors really landed, the entire Sabayati archipelago would be boiling. Anyway, just go and have a look, Rayleigh said. Sabayati archipelago land 46. It is surrounded by ruined buildings, and it was the place where Luffy, the fake straw hat, summoned his men. The place where Momoshiki brought Monk to compete as the Sabayati archipelago. At this time, Momoshiki was shocked. She couldn't help but backed away with her long legs in black silk, and the sweat on her forehead was densely covered. This. Standing in front of her was Monk. At this moment Monk erupted with a powerful conqueror's tyrant long. This Haki made Momoshiki, the admiral candidate, feel palpitations and was shocked. Hey, I really didn't expect that Conqueror's Haki has improved so much. Monk also said in surprise. Although his Conqueror's Haki added a lot of all-purpose experience points this time, and with the blessing of advanced Motai, it has been improved by 3 times, but it has not been upgraded, and it is still advanced. But the Conqueror's Haki he's showing now has reached a whole new level, comparable to the level where Luffy makes a general kneel down in the Z Theater version. It has not reached the level of 4 emperors, but it is close to the level of 4 emperors, and it can already cause physical damage to the surroundings. Monk, how the hell did you do it? Momoshiki God tier questioned. Obviously in the afternoon, Monk showed his Conqueror's Haki in front of Zephyr, but the Conqueror's at that time was weaker than it is now. In just a few hours, Monk's Conqueror's Haki has been taken to a whole new level. How did you do that? Momoshiki was stunned and startled, her brain was almost short-circuited, she couldn't figure it out. She has seen the magical items that Monk fishes, and there is nothing that can quickly improve Conqueror's Haki. As for cultivation, let's not say that Monk is a bad guy every day, he will never stand up if he can lie down, this kind of character allows him to practice unless the sun comes out from the west. Just when Momoshiki was puzzled, Monk laughed and said, stop pretending, I'm going to showdown. Actually, I am a person with the ability to lie down fruit, as long as I use it, I can improve my strength. Get out, Momoshiki yelled. Lie fruit ability user. Lie down at your head, who would believe it? Monk, I'm fighting with you. Momoshiki roared, and pulled out his saber, Kimbula. Originally, she was very upset with Monk in her heart. She cheated and deceived her feelings. She not only lowered her status to clean the room for him, but also endured the humiliation and put on a maid outfit. Now, knowing that Monk is such a bad king, the rapid increase in strength made Momoshiki even more angry. I keep practicing and improving myself, and now I am only Vice Admiral. As for Monk, his current strength is also Vice Admiral, not to mention Vice Admiral, as long as Monk shows his strength in front of everyone in Marine, he will probably get the title of Admiral Alternate. Admiral's candidate, she has worked hard for more than 20 years to get it. More than 20 years, exactly 20 years, and this kid is not yet 20 years old. Can Momoshiki be angry? However, at this moment, the Monk in front jumped up directly, and then, under Momoshiki's astonished eyes of ultimate, Monk's body was covered with scales, and his body became huge at the same time. It means turning into a green dragon. Kick. Momoshiki stopped attacking and backed away in shock. Kaido. No, Monk is also the strongest creature, this. Double demon fruit power. What Momoshiki doesn't know is that Monk also has shock fruit and string fruit. With the Yu fruit blue dragon form, coupled with the powerful Conqueror's Haki just now, Momoshiki felt that Monk's strength had basically surpassed himself. Monk quickly converged on the green dragon form, but turned into the strongest half-beast form. His hair is draped to his waist, and there are 2 horns on the top of his head, the palms and soles of his feet have become dragon claws, and there is a huge tail behind him. Monk looked at his own changes and couldn't help but marvel, it's so cool. Then he couldn't wait to run to the nearest stream to admire his appearance at this time. Advertisement. Looking at his half-beast form, Monk praised again and again, how handsome. It's really handsome, it's like arranging a set of handsome skins for your character in the game. Not far away, under the moonlight, Momoshiki looked at the out-of-the-ordinary Monk, she couldn't help but shook her head with a wry smile. It's so enviable, why is this guy like the protagonist with the aura of the protagonist? Fishing devil fruit, the ability of this fruit is simply heaven-defying. Monk has such a huge improvement, in Momoshiki's view, it is 100% due to magical items. The fish fruit and blue dragon form are most likely to use random devil fruit. As for how Conqueror's Haki improves so quickly, Momosuke doesn't know. Worth mentioning. She simply didn't think about it anymore. The more she thought about it, the more unwilling she became. People are more than people, it's too easy to s people off. Momosuke retracted the golden buluo, and the monk in front of him heard the sound of the saber being sheathed, turned his head and saw Taobao retracting the saber. This made Monk extremely surprised. Why, you stopped fighting? Don't want to vent your anger. Momosuke bit her lip, and said in a bad tone, I think I will be the one who will use the intermediate level fairy bean later. No comparison, no comparison. I'm going back, I'll come when I see you. With that said, Momosuke left Sabayati Archipelago through any door. Monk restrained his half-beast form, and then left the scene through any door. With the return of the two, the one-time use of any door disappeared. This time Monk has actually achieved his goal, he has seen his own current strength, he is already close to Admiral, and has reached the real Admiral candidate. And just after Monk left, Rayleigh and Changchi came here. But the surrounding area was empty and there was no one there. Strange, why is there no one? Shaki was surprised. On the side, Rayleigh didn't answer, but used his observation Haki to sense the surroundings, but soon he found that there was no one around. The Conqueror's Haki they perceived just now seemed to be an illusion of the two of them. It made Rayleigh dumbfounded, what the hell is this? Why is there no one? And at this moment, Shaki thought of something, and said in a deep voice, there is a high probability that it is someone from Marine. How to say? Rayleigh was surprised, why did he say it was from Marine? This is the big event on the sea that I want to tell you. Rayleigh was curious, how? While returning, Shaki said, according to the news, Marine Marshal Sengoku's nephew has a devil fruit with very special ability, fishing fruit, he can get all kinds of magical items through fishing. For example, one of the magical items is called Any Door, which allows Marine to go to any part of New World in naval headquarters. It's very likely that Marine's people came to Sabayati Archipelago through Any Door just now, and went back before we came here. Shaki talked about the information she had collected recently, which made Rayleigh very shocked, and said with a look of horror, there is still this devil fruit ability. Why have I never heard of it? Anyone else could say it's underinformed, but who is Rayleigh? He is the man who followed Roger to the end of this world. He has seen many things, and he also knows the truth of the 100-year blank year. It can be said that he has a wide range of knowledge. But even so, Rayleigh still hasn't heard of it past such a devil fruit. At the same time, Monk and Momosuke, who returned to naval headquarters, did not know that after the two of them left, it was Rayleigh who was attracted. Momosuke had a face of resignation, Monk, this guy's combat power has improved rapidly, and she doesn't want to continue thinking about it anymore. That's it, if you think about it, it will only increase your troubles. As for Monk, after returning to the room, he continued to lie on the easy chair and began to enjoy himself. While he was puffing, he lay down on the easy chair. It seems that I have changed. Monk found himself a little changed, perhaps because he saw the cause of the war with his own eyes. Before changing to Monk, he would not be eager to see how his strength level improved, no matter how much combat power he displayed in actual combat, but now Monk has changed. He subconsciously wanted to see what level his combat power had reached, and what kind of opponent his own strength could fight against in case of danger. I have to say that sometimes what kind of environment you are in will be more or less affected by the environment. Although now Monk is starting to pay attention to his own strength, but his principle of playing badly will never be shaken. Advertisement. Ask for flowers. Reining in his thoughts and emptying himself, Monk looked at the system. At this time, the system refreshed tomorrow's fishing location, which is the Vodka Kingdom, the hometown of Kaido of the Beasts. Monk doesn't care where this place is. After all, he will have a rest tomorrow and doesn't need to go fishing. To Monk's delight, the system break through. This time, the super fishing is unlocked. It costs 1 billion Baileys to fish once, and Monk needs 2 billion Baileys 10 times if he wants to offer free prostitution. Hiss. Monk took a breath, if the Marine wanted to fish 5 times, it would be equivalent to 2 Whitebeards. Whitebeard's bounty is 5 billion plus Bailey. So if Marine wants to fish 5 times, he must pay 10 billion Baileys, which is close to the price of 2 Whitebeards. If Whitebeard knew that Monk was using him as a unit of measurement, he would be ashamed. At the same time, Monk's fishing limit has also been increased. Originally, he could fish 5 baits at the same time, but now he can fish 10 baits at the same time. The upper limit of fishing is still very useful. According to Monk's understanding of his uncle, even if he has high-level fishing, he will still buy a lot of low-level magical items. Only in this way can the overall comprehensive strength of Marine be improved from top to bottom. Before he knew it, Monk fell asleep in the easy chair, and Momosuke finally covered him with a quilt. Looking at Monk's sleeping face, the moment when Monk released Conqueror's Haki and transformed into a green dragon form and a half-dragon man form appeared in his mind. Point 0. Momosuke couldn't help but shook his head and laughed, what will you, little devil, change the future into? Hee. It must be very exciting, really exciting. Mingming faded away quickly, and the sun hung high in the sky in rotation. Egg Point Island. At this time, it was still 2 years ago, Egg Tip. The appearance of the island is not what it will be later, but the specific prototype has come out. The warship approached slowly, and then stopped on the bow. Sengoku stepped to the bow to apply for landing on the island. Although it is said that this is the territory of the world government, but because of Vegapunk's identity and special status, Sengoku still gave Vegapunk the respect that should be said, and entered the island. Before applying to enter the island, soon Vegapunk's voice came from the radio on the island. Sengoku, how did you get here so fast? Come in, come in. Although Vegapunk is dissatisfied with the world government, he is still very polite to Marine, especially Sengoku. The Marine Marshal has no problem with his character. But Sengoku, before I come in, I would like to trouble you with one thing. Help me test my mechanical sea beasts. I gave them a breakthrough recently. I don't know the specific combat power. After finishing speaking, mechanical sea beasts emerged from the bottom of the sea in front of the warship, staring at Sengoku intently. Sengoku at the bow looked at these sea beasts and was speechless. Vegapunk, I have something to discuss with you this time, and I don't have time to accompany you to experiment. When Kizaru comes over, you ask Kizaru to test it for you. Kizaru, as the Minister of Science, may not show up for 10 days. I don't know when he will be tested. Sengoku, you should help me. Seeing that Sengoku was still not happy, the old man immediately ignored it. Anyway, he just wanted to test it. Sengoku would scold him at most, and he was fine after that. However, I saw Sengoku, who took out a door out of nowhere, a pink door. Which makes Vegapunk wonder, could it be the magical item that Long mentioned when he contacted him before? At that time, Vegapunk didn't care. In his opinion, how magical the magical items were, and there was nothing more magical than his technology. As Vegapunk watched, he saw Sengoku open the door. Vegapunk couldn't help leaning forward, wanting to see where the door leads to, but the next second, Sengoku's voice sounded from behind Vegapunk. Vegapunk, letting sea beasts attack Martial Marine without authorization is a felony, and I can arrest you. Vegapunk didn't pay attention to Sengoku's words at all. The little old man couldn't help but look shocked, looking at the door behind Sengoku. How did the door open behind him? Behind the door is still the splint of the Marine battleship. These two time and space that cannot be connected at all are connected together at this time. The scientist's heart stirred up a storm. Advertisement. Chapter 74. Vegapunk is excited. Finally there is an item that can be understood. Advertisement. Vegapunk is confused, and two different time and space are connected together in this way. He was fascinated by it, and this little scientist had already set off a storm in his heart, which could not be calmed down for a long time. The so-called layman watches the excitement, while the insider watches the way. As a person with brain fruit ability, Vegapunk has a lot of knowledge in his mind, which makes him the most powerful scientist in the world, and mastering the advanced technology of the ancient empire more than 900 years ago makes him known as the first person who has led the world's technology for 500 years. The arbitrary door made the mind of the brain fruit ability user feel that it was not enough. When Vegapunk came back to himself, there was a light in his small eyes. Looking at this pink portal, twinkling, it's amazing, it's amazing. While sighing, he walked towards any door. The old man muttered something, while looking at any door, looking at the door frame, looking at the door handle, and then Vegapunk was about to go over to have a look, but was stopped by Sengoku. This arbitrary door is a one-time use. Once you pass by, the use of this time is over, and it will disappear automatically. Disappearing automatically. Vegapunk wondered, is it all gone? Yeah, Sengoku nodded. This is also an extremely headache, which makes this magic item not like technology. Vegapunk doesn't care. The end of technology is a powerful and unconstrained style. Forget it, you don't understand these things. Vegapunk also looked down on Sengoku. Sengoku couldn't help but rolled his eyes, but he didn't refute anything. Everyone has everyone's strengths in 020. He only needs to manage the marine well, and he doesn't care about the others. Vegapunk observed the arbitrary door, and was still admiring the magic of the arbitrary door. This technology is so wonderful, this is the most wonderful thing I have ever seen. Sengoku didn't care about this, and said, don't admire, this time I came to see if you can analyze my nephew's magical item, and then reproduce it. Sengoku said that his purpose of coming to Dianguang Island this time is to see if Vegapunk can be mass-produced. Although it is said that Monk has a strong ability to fish devil fruit, but after all, he is only one person, and it is simply impossible to catch magical items that can be used by the entire marine by himself. Manpower is limited, but machine production can be unlimited. Sengoku wanted to let Vegapunk analyze it, but Vegapunk said, no hurry, no hurry. Reluctantly, he withdrew his gaze, and then walked back to Sengoku with his hands behind his back and said, let me see all the magical items that your nephew fished with his fishing ability. 11. I'm going to see how many times these magical objects can shock me. Vegapunk really wanted to see all of Monk's magical items, and secondly, to be able to report some information about Marine's magical items to the dragon. Long had contacted him before, and he always remembered it. Although Vegapunk said he joined the world government, his heart was not on the world government. It can be said that he sacrificed a lot in order to have funds for scientific research. Since the Ohara incident, he was doomed to stand on the same front with the dragon, and he has no sense of belonging to the world government at all. Naturally, Sengoku didn't know these things, and he didn't refuse when he saw that Vegapunk wanted to see Monk's other magical items. Since the world's #1 scientist wants to reproduce Monk's magical items, all the magical items must be disclosed to Vegapunk anyway. Sengoku starts with any door, explaining how to operate it when using it, and at the same time explaining the conditions of use. That is, it must be a place that the user has been to before. If this condition is not met, then any door cannot be reached. Oh, Vegapunk suddenly. I said, why don't you Marines use this to go to Raftel? It turns out that you can't get there. Once Marine arrives at Raftel, collects the treasures pursued by countless Marines, and then discloses them to the world, the dreams of countless pirates will be shattered. And 4 emperors, the strongest creature, Kaido, and, red hair, Shanks. Each of the strong men is chasing the treasure left by Roger. In other words, if Marine obtains the treasure in advance, it is very likely that the era of great exploration will come to an end. Ah, Sengoku chuckled. Advertisement. My nephew has shown me hope for the future. As long as Marine's high-end power improves and its overall strength improves, then the era of great navigation will also come to an end. Sengoku speaks confidently, proudly. This made Vegapunk even more curious about all the magical items of Monk, knowing that it is very difficult for a Marine Marshal to say such firm words, which shows that Sengoku has extremely great hopes for Monk's magical items. However, I didn't bring all the magical items with me this time, because some of them are relatively rare, or they have already been used, and there is no way to take them out for research. Vegapunk didn't care too much. It's okay, if you can't get the magical item, you can just give me a list of information. Sengoku nodded. Yes, but this is Marine's absolute secret and should not be passed on. Know it. Vegapunk waved his hand. I have paid so much for the Marine and the world government, don't you believe that I am an old man? Sengoku didn't say anything anymore, and started to take out the next magical item. Open black lens bracket universal capsule close black lens bracket. This is divided into elementary and intermediate levels. The higher the level, the larger the space that can be accommodated. The primary one can accommodate a marine warship, and the intermediate one can accommodate almost 2 more. The magical items such as universal capsules are conventional magical items, so they are relatively large in number, Sengoku said while taking out 2 grades of universal capsules to Vegapunk. Vegapunk looked at the 2 capsule-shaped things that could only be reached with a slap, and was beyond shocked. This thing can store a marine warship. Even one of the advanced ones can have 2 ships. Vegapunk quickly took 2 universal capsules from Sengoku's hand as if he was snatching a treasure, his eyes were full of shock. This has already been applied to the advanced space theory. When the dragon told him about the magical item before, Vegapunk didn't pay much attention to it, but now he cares very much. Each piece of magical items is so unbelievable. Vegapunk was deeply shocked by the storage capacity of the universal capsule. In his mind is not only a lot of knowledge about this world, but also the scientific and technological knowledge of the ancient nations more than 900 years ago. Did not understand the principle. Vegapunk couldn't help but gasp. It seems that Monk's magical items are really beyond imagination. He started to take it seriously. Then Sengoku took out the fairy bean again. Looking at this ordinary bean, Vegapunk couldn't help frowning. Sengoku, is your body lacking vitamins recently? Otherwise, why carry beans with you? Sengoku laughed and shook his head. No. Vegapunk, this is also a magical item. Vegapunk couldn't help but widen his eyes. Is this also a magical item? Looking at the magical item that looks like ordinary beans, Vegapunk is puzzled. Where is the magic of this item? What effect does it have? Can it increase the vitamins needed by the human body? Ha ha ha, similar. Sengoku laughed. This kind of rhetoric can only be heard in Vegapunk, but what it provides is physical strength, and it can also heal the body's injuries. As long as people don't die on the spot, taking it can heal instantly. Not only that, even an incurable injury like a broken arm can be healed. Zephyr's prosthetic limb has been taken off. He took Shondo and his arm healed. In front of Sengoku, Vegapunk was once again deeply shocked. Isn't this the strongest biological physique? No, it's even stronger than the strongest biological physique, but Sengoku said that as long as a person is still breathing, this thing can heal all people, and even a broken limb can be reborn. When he was researching Kaido's strongest biological physique, Kaido's bloodline factor did not have such an effect. Far beyond the heaven-defying physique that Devil Fruit brought to Kaido, it instantly provides biological energy, allowing it to instantly recover its physical strength, and at the same time reshape the biological body. Vegapunk just felt that his brain was about to heat up. Even if he put his brain on a huge database, he felt that it was not enough. What happened to Monk's magical item? Isn't this too pervert? Advertisement. Before Vegapunk could digest it, Sengoku took out a fairy bean again, but this time the fairy bean had an extra gold border. I only heard Sengoku say, this is an intermediate level fairy bean. It has an additional effect on the basis of the primary level fairy bean heaven-defying healing. It can bring the dead back to life. As long as the deceased died within a few minutes, they can be revived after taking this intermediate level fairy bean. The specific time depends on the individual. According to Monk, everyone is different. Some people may be dead for 5 minutes. Kick, kick, kick. Vegapunk can't hear what Sengoku will say next. It's outrageous, outrageous, outrageous. In Vegapunk's head, only the word, outrageous, kept flashing past. Monk's magical item actually broke the laws of this world and a rule of biological survival, that is, birth, old age, sickness and death. After a person dies, it is like a lamp goes out, but Monk's magical item can still light the lamp of life again. How did this guy get devil fruit? Vegapunk couldn't understand. The combination of such magical items makes Monk almost equal to half a god, right? Not only can it act as a panacea, but it can also act as a resurrection coin. Sengoku looked at Vegapunk's complexion, and quickly asked, Vegapunk, are you okay? Vegapunk waved his hand. It's okay, it's okay. But let me take it easy first, I have to digest it first, or my heart can't bear it. Sengoku laughed, and was not in a hurry, letting Vegapunk take his time. If it wasn't for him getting to know Monk's magical items gradually, even if the effects or functions of Monk's magical items became more and more outrageous later on, he would be able to accept them quickly. Otherwise, he would have to digest these heavenly items by himself in an instant. Defying magical items, Sengoku reckons he might be similar to Vegapunk. After a while, Vegapunk slowly digested, and after digesting, only the golden glow remained in his eyes. As a scientist, and as a thirsty scholar, Vegapunk now has nothing but the excitement of learning about these unknown objects. Arbitrary door, universal capsule, fairy bean. Sengoku will give me 2 copies of these so that I can study them. Yeah, Sengoku nodded. He had already made preparations. Since he wanted to let Vegapunk analyze it to see if it could be reproduced, of course he had to prepare samples in advance. Otherwise, how could he let Vegapunk study it? However, the middle-level hyphenation point Shondo can't be helped. Marines don't have many on hand, and the efficacy is very important to our Marines. It is currently a must. Vegapunk, you should first analyze the elementary level fairy beans. After that, the primary level fairy beans will be completed, and the intermediate level fairy beans will be used for you. 3.0 inches. The reason why Sengoku wants to keep the middle level Sengoku is for contingencies. Monk's fishing spots are changing every day, and it is very likely that he will continue to go to dangerous places in the new world, so the mid-level Sengoku must be kept. Secondly, as Monk's magical items continue to bring improvements to Marine, Sengoku plans to make moves on Marine's side. It's almost time to clear the sea, and Marine will suffer a lot of casualties, and the beans are hard currency. Although Vegapunk said he was sorry, he didn't force it. Even if he was a junior Shondo, Vegapunk felt that he was too busy. Without mentioning the fairy beans, Vegapunk can't wait to get Sengoku to show off the magical items. I saw Sengoku took out a sword hilt, and after he injected his physical strength, the blade appeared radiant. Vegapunk's eyes lit up immediately, and his face was overjoyed. I know this, I also made one similar to Kizaru's Tiankongan, but unfortunately it was a failure. Although Vegapunk said it was a failure, there was still a proud smile on his face. Because from Sengoku showing the magical item to now, he finally has a magical item that he can understand. And he can also make it, but there are some flaws. Vegapunk is a perfectionist. When he was researching Kaido's pedigree factor, because the color of the artificial devil fruit he produced was not the same as the original Kaido's color, he was extremely distressed and felt that what he made was an extremely failed product. But now he finds that after seeing Monk's magical items, his perfectionist character has been healed by force. However, Sengoku shook his head. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Advertisement. Chapter 75 Refresh technology knowledge again. A new fishing spot is here. Advertisement. Originally, Vegapunk thought that he finally understood the principle of a magical item, but he never thought that Sengoku shook his head. Seeing Sengoku shaking his head, Vegapunk couldn't help being taken aback, and quickly asked, Sengoku, what do you mean by shaking your head? Could it be that this is not a laser sword? It should be considered a laser sword. Vegapunk's face recovered, but Sengoku's next words made his face startled again. However, its strength is not due to its own sharpness and toughness. Of course, these 2 points are also perfect, and it can be called a famous knife. Sengoku added. Then he continued what he wanted to say. The most powerful thing about it is that it can give the user the profound meaning of swordsmanship, making the user comparable to the world's #1 swordsman. Of course, its short board is that it must be used by the strong. Otherwise, it has the sword technique of the world's #1 swordsman, but it does not have the physical quality to dominate, and it cannot exert its maximum value. Vegapunk was stunned to the extreme. Can you instill advanced sword skills into the user? Is this the technology he's been working on lately? To allow pacifists to learn powerful tactics and improve their combat power, this is still a blueprint for the future Seraph, so that after it is produced, it will be able to have strong combat power, but Vegapunk is not yet a technology. Progress. Pacifists can only have simple combat moves, and more of them imitate Kizaru's shelling. War. Sengoku. Vegapunk swallowed. Isn't your nephew's magical item technology level 2 advanced? But, Vegapunk changed the subject and laughed excitedly. However, this is also an opportunity for me. Ha 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 ha. If he can figure out that this knife is like pouring advanced knife skills into the user's body, he will be able to obtain the data of these advanced knife skills, so that he can use it on pacifists. Once it is really successful, it will make the produced pacifists one by one the #1 swordsman in the world. Thinking of this, Vegapunk was almost trembling with excitement. He suddenly felt that Monk was here to give him warmth, otherwise why would he give him such a magical item at this node? Vegapunk immediately wanted this lightning pill, but Sengoku refused. Currently the number of lightning pills is scarce. Sengoku rejected Vegapunk's request for the same reason as at the beginning. Moreover, Vegapunk has been given so many magical items to research, and if he is given too much, he will not be able to study it for a while. Also, before coming, Garp also told Sengoku that the Dianguang must be brought back, and that it cannot stay here in Vegapunk. The former, Iron Fist, physical sealing Garp's recent enthusiasm for swordsmanship. So Sengoku intends to keep the lightning pills for Garp first, and then bring them to Vegapunk for research after there are more. I have to say that although Sengoku and Garp often quarrel, Sengoku still loves Garp, an old comrade in arms. Everything is for his sake. Vegapunk was very determined this time, determined to let Sengoku leave the lightning pill. Because the twist that this lightning pill can bring to his pacifist project is so huge, he is not willing to give up. Sengoku did not continue to refuse, but took out a small ball that radiated light. This time he came here for another very important purpose, which is to hand over this, small ball, to Vegapunk. What is this? Sengoku held up the small fairway that radiated light. This is called Seraphim Core. After hearing the name Seraph, Vegapunk's heart jumped violently, the core of Seraph. Because the first project of Pacifist has not been completed, the Pacifist Seraphim series is also the blueprint, and Marine does not know much about it at present. Vegapunk naturally felt throbbing when he heard about this magical item called Seraphim Core. However, according to the kid in my family, this Seraphim Core seems to be only at the Shichibukai level. I'm not too clear about the specifics. In short, I'll put it here for you to study. After you get the results, write a report to me, and then I will look at the finished product. Vegapunk took over the Seraphim Core like a baby. Shichibukai's strength can be regarded as the top group in this sea. Otherwise, how could Marine recruit them and let them deal with the four emperors together? Advertisement. So Vegapunk didn't feel disappointed when he heard the Shichibukai level, he only had the joy of realizing his own blueprint. According to the original plan, Vegapunk estimates that the results will be realized in 2 or 3 years, but now, your own blueprint will soon be successfully constructed. Vegapunk took over Seraphim's core, and he no longer knows how to describe his mood. In the following time, Sengoku showed all the magical items that Vegapunk needs to research at present. For example, Motai, Wazi tobacco, of course. These two things are intermediate, after all, the primary tobacco and alcohol have no value other than delicious. There are other things, memory bread, stamina pill, etc. These things also made Vegapunk shocked and dumbfounded. It was not until sunset that Sengoku reboarded the warship and prepared to return to naval headquarters. It was rare for Vegapunk to watch Sengoku off at the shore, and at this moment he stood straight as if absent-minded. A stack of papers in his hand fluttered in the wind, and Vegapunk held them tightly, for fear of losing them. This is Sengoku's record of all the magical items currently appearing, and Vegapunk has regarded this as a treasure. The magical items that Sengoku showed just now are too shocking, and the rest of the magical items are equally shocking. There is Super Holy Water, that can awaken Conqueror's Haki, and Bamboo Dragonfly, that can make people fly. Originally, Vegapunk didn't pay much attention to the magical item of Bamboo Dragonfly. After all, he also has many means of flying, but when he knew that this gadget does not need to use energy, it only needs the user to inject physical strength to provide energy for flight, which made the scientist dumbfounded again. Haven't I been looking for a flame that will not be extinguished? I want to create a sun with endless energy. And physical strength seems to be one of them, but it is relatively inferior. Watching the warship gradually disappear into the sea, Vegapunk swallowed. Nephew of Sengoku, let me refresh my understanding of technology again. Vegapunk feels that Monk's magical items have surpassed the technology of the ancient kingdom more than 900 years ago. That's right. In the eyes of this top scientist, Monk's magical items are actually technology, more cutting edge technology. Vegapunk took out a small ball emitting blue light from his pocket, with excitement in his heart. His pacifist blueprint, the Seraphim project, will be able to be advanced. It's a pity that there is no Dianguang pill to analyze and study, otherwise, he feels that he will be able to elevate the candle to a whole new level. That is the #1 swordsman in the world. After pondering on the spot for a while, Vegapunk began to think about other issues, that is, Sengoku asked him to reproduce Monk's magical items. To be honest, if Marine unilaterally needs these things, Vegapunk is willing to reproduce them, but Marine, as one of the 3 major organizations of the world government, will ultimately own the technology that Marine reproduces by itself, only in the hands of the world government. This is something Vegapunk doesn't want to see. He chose to join the world government. The main purpose is because there is enough funding for world conquest, and the second point is to convince some Marine. Vegapunk stood in front of the shore, and after a long time, he turned and left the scene. In short, let's see if I can analyze and reproduce these magical items with my own knowledge, and then sort out the information of the magical items left by Sengoku, and then copy a copy to the dragon. White Earth continent. In the commander's office, Long was looking at a piece of information on the table. Marine's magical items are getting more and more outrageous. Long frowned. If this continues, I am afraid that the road ahead for the Revolutionary Army will become more and more difficult, which he does not want to see. But now the Revolutionary Army has nothing to do. They can only see if Vegapunk has made any good progress. But at this time the phone bug rang. Long couldn't help but hesitate, and then quickly picked up the phone bug. This phone bug is a very special phone bug, specially contacting Vegapunk. Soon there was a voice over there, but it wasn't the voice of the old man in Vegapunk. Long was not surprised either, and asked, #1 is right, what's the matter? Opposite is positive, one of the 6 clones of Vegapunk, and the other clones represent evil, thinking, knowledge, and desire. Advertisement. This old man has obtained information on all the magical items that Monk has fished so far. These words made the originally calm dragon breathe quickly, and surprise appeared on his face. All. That's right. Positive, replied. And I also got some samples of magical items, but because magical items are relatively scarce, not all of them. For this, Long didn't care at all. If not all, Monk's magical items are good. Vegapunk, I'll go to your side right now, the dragon said. The specific matters will be discussed after I arrive. But it was rejected by Jung. Next, I want to retreat and study, although I have the brain fruit ability, and I have a lot of knowledge in this world, but the magical items still make me feel a little bit at a loss. Quote. The level of technology is too cutting edge. Long was silent for a while. He is not a person who likes to joke, so he didn't make fun of Vegapunk. I didn't expect to hear such words from Vegapunk's mouth. Vegapunk would admit his own shortcomings and feel that the things he made were failures, but he would never say that he would feel helpless about something. It seems that the magical item is more powerful than I imagined. Jung continued. The other thing is that the world government recently gave me a project, and they are keeping a close eye on me. You may cause problems if you appear here. I was too hasty just now. Long nodded, admitting the impulsiveness just now. He suppressed the ups and downs in his heart, and continued to speak. Then Vegapunk, copy the information you will get from 747 to me. When I said this for a long time, the corners of my mouth rose slightly. In this way, their revolutionary army will be able to grasp first-hand information. Dragon then discusses some details with Vegapunk, and at the same time says that he wants Tyrant Bear to get some magical items from Marine. According to, as the old man thinks, the current Marine stock of magical items is not very large, although bears are the 7 warlords of the sea, and they are Marine's indispensable combat power at present. But it's very difficult to get magical items from Marine. Dragon. In fact, there is no need to worry. When I analyze the magical item and reproduce it, I will give it to you, an old friend. Vegapunk thinks it over. He still won't remake it in Marine, after all he hates world government. Of course, Sengoku doesn't know about Vegapunk's plan. At the same time, the Shichibukai in the Amazon Lily Island, the Horror 3-masted ship, and other areas have also received news from Marine. Empress Hancock was surprised, but she didn't want to pay attention to these things. The changes in the outside world didn't interest her at all, as long as her country was not invaded by others. And, Moonlight, Moria is waiting and watching. Since he was defeated by Kaido and escaped from New World, his character has become bullying and fearing hard. Let's see the situation first. Haki is not interested in other magical items, but is very interested in open black lens bracket Dianguang Wan close black lens bracket. After all, what he pursued was the pinnacle of swordsmanship, and the appearance of Dianguang Wan directly negated his previous efforts. No matter how indifferent Haki was, he couldn't calm down at this moment. Haki plans to go to naval headquarters to see the lightning pill. As for Jinbei, he is still Shichibukai at this time, and this sea man also plans to go to naval headquarters to see if the rumored magical items are really so magical. As the big brother of IQ Online, he knows that once Marine's overall strength improves, and as long as Sengoku feels that Marine alone can check and balance the 4 emperors, then the 7 warlords of the sea system will become an all-time great. Grand Line, Ace, and Blackbeard have also received some information to a greater or lesser extent. However, the current 2 are one fleeing and the other chasing. They both have their own main goals, so they don't pay much attention to them. Since Monk fished the first Myriad Realms props, the track of this world has deviated. Even if it is Monk, it is unclear where the story will go. Exhibition. Of course. For Monk who wants to show off, as long as it doesn't trouble him, it's nothing to worry about, just ignore it. The time soon came to the night of the 3rd day, and the fishing location of the system is about to be updated. Advertisement.